Welcome, everybody. We are here for a Metroid Link to the Past Randomizer Weekly Race. This is the SMZ3 Weekly. Normal mode, normal logic. Hopefully, I'm coming through clear. What's fun about this one is that it will be the multi-world. So we're going to have two sets of players playing a similar seed.
While it's a similar seed, it does mean that their items are actually shared between the two players. And I'll be your code comment here, user. In addition, we do have our trackers provided by professional renderer and Tony Young actually with us.
Yes, Professor Renderer and Tony T. Young. So thank you guys in advance for your tracking. I've done that before. It is not easy. And it looks like we are ready to go. So our runners for the first choice they have to make is whether or not they're going to go down to Retro Bryn Star Blue Bryn or make the portal entry into Zelda, which is normally what happens. So we'll get to see what they do first. So in a normal SMZ3 seed, there are, for anybody who's new to this, 316 item locations, 100 from Metroid, 216 from Zelda, that are distributed between both games. What makes multi-world fun is that's duplicated between both games. So you've got two players playing one seed where it could be, what is it? I'm not great at math. 216, 316, 330, 40 something ish, 600 some locations. So we could see one player find their own items in their own game, or they could find one of their own items in their partner's game. So it's really exciting to see where things pop up.
Looks like we have an early flute found by both of our bottom players.
That's exciting. So one early question for chat, where would you like to see progression?
I want to know if does chat want a jet seed or a troll seed?
A jet seed would be nice, right? That's always fun. A troll seed would it be if you watched any of the streamers from yesterday's. So it'll be fun to see what happens today. I'm excited. Progression at Mickey Mouse, that'd be fun. Sorry, go ahead.
As unlikely as it'd be, it was only two players. It'll be really trolly if one player ends up in BK mode.
Right.
Where there's left stuck waiting on the other player.
Yeah, and that's a great point to bring up, right? So when you're playing multi-world, oh, and there we see gravity on the bottom lumberjack ledge. So there will be a required aga at some point, which means we'll see boots.
I mean, unless they want to suffer a gravity-less Dragon fight.
Right. So certainly our players are skilled enough to do a suitless Meridia, but that won't be required as this is the normal logic. So it just depends on how they want to go about it. And we see Polar Bear Bunny is getting that information now. And it looks like all of our players are taking a similar route, going north through the Lost Woods to Kakariko. Yeah, Agaseed already, as chat's pointing out.
Yeah, it's pretty common route, especially since this route gives you a lot of early item checks.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like we found some early bombs, so that definitely helps out.
That does help. It always helps when you find early bombs. So something that I typically do when I play is I'll do the hula hand to get some early money to make sure I get bombs when I go through Kakariko, but a lot of our players are, relying on tree poles or possibly the bush crabs. There's also the south route sometimes where you can find a bomb. and that always just makes it easier to get through Kakariko when you've got those early bombs. And yes, salutes for the Hylian national anthem, as we're having our first flute unlocked.
That national anthem. That's the first I heard.
And a moon pearl found by Ashdar for Polar Bear Bunny. So from the looks of it, our top players are finding some goods for the bottom players. Oop, there's some flippers for Ashdar, okay. Alright, so we've got a moon pearl, ether, flute. Where does that put us?
Let's see.
And on with you goes Fox.
Flipper, unfortunately, as it is, assuming does open up some stuff, but then, but that's assuming these players do not know how to do flippers glitch.
Right, exactly. So, while a couple of our players will be able to do the normal, logical water check, so there's the old man under the bridge, there's the waterfall fairy, there's Zora. Nobody seems to have Zora money quite yet. But all these players are skilled enough that they could fake flipper and get to those locations even without the flippers. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody does those moves or if they wait until they have them. And then there's also the possibility that they may not need them. Because I don't think we've seen a map check yet, have we?
No, not that I recall, no. Looks like Osei is just going straight for the race.
Yeah. Which, it looks like that was a heart? Yeah. So there's a heart at the race for our top players. For these folks, not necessary, but not a bad thing to grab, since you don't know when and where they'll come from.
Especially since you don't know how many hearts you'll actually find, or if you'll find both, how many males
right.
you might find.
Right. So I know for me, I'm neither a Metroid or Zelda player. I started this all with actually learning about SMZ3 some months back. So my Zelda ability, if I'm in green mail and low hearts, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat. Because, I mean, the last time I played Zelda was like 20 years ago, so it just...
yeah.
It's like, how do I play? Where was everything? How do I do this again?
And those crabs, so those crabs are some of the hardest hitting enemies in the light world. They'll do you for 2 hearts damage if you get hit by one, so it's important to make sure that you don't.
Yeah, and dying to those crabs, it's just painful because now it's like, especially since Ice Rod check is so far out of the way.
Yeah. And that is some well-timed bombs from PBB to Ashdar, helping him get through Mini Moldorm Cave, and we'll see what we get here. So we've got the Ice Rod. And our first sword! There we go, that's exciting. So our top players are finding their first sword for the bottom player, and I do see a screw attack on Hitaka, although I don't know where that came from. If one of our trackers could help us out with that. Where was the screw attack?
Oh, I remember seeing that. I didn't quite remember what it was.
So that's interesting. So that opens up some options in SM. It was in the dam. Okay, thank you. So getting Screw Attack early does open up some early Metroid locations. There's, I think, about 4 or 5 different things you can check in Pink Bryn with the Screw Attack. So it'll be interesting to see if any of our players decide to go there.
Although personally, I would totally do like a safety save before I do that, because
Yeah,
without Morph Ball, you can. There's always a slight risk of getting yourself soft locked.
right. And I don't think we've seen any Power Bomb packs yet, so that certainly is a risk.
Well, if it does, it keeps up the hard lock. If this decides to go to compound this into a troll seat on top of the Aga requirement, we might they might require players to actually use the screw attack towards Pink Bryn Star.
For sure.
I did see Polar Bear finding Wave Beam in the dam.
Which will be helpful. So getting Wave Beam, of course, opens up the Wave Beam gate in Pink Bryn, which is not normally available in the normal logic. Now we've got our flippers being used by Ajder to check out the old man under the bridge who just has an E-tank for us. Acceptable early on, but not necessarily progression. And so far, it looks like all of our players are having a fairly normal opening. So the first maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're going to check Kakariko, the Lost Woods. We haven't seen anybody venture over to the east side yet.
Oh,
was that a glove?
It was a glove for Azure.
All right, so that does give us some options now. And actually, it looks like both of our top players, Ajder and Aussie, both have gloves, so that does give some additional checks. They can check the back of escape. That does open up Zora, and it looks like at least the bottom runners who don't have the gloves have the money.
Well, is Polar going to do has the money for King Zola?
Right? So you can always fake Flipper to get up there. And with the Moon Pearl, so when you fake Flipper with the Moon Pearl, assuming she didn't have the flippers, ooh, and there's a hammer?
I think that was for the bottom player?
Yeah, so the bottom players have their hammer and the waterfall fairy.
So that, if I'm not mistaken, that gives the bottom player Dark World access.
Nah, yeah, because I don't think our bottom players have either the glove.
Oh, right, the gloves. They did glove.
So the glove was for the top players, so Ajder and Aussie have the gloves. The bottom players have the hammer. And now we're going to see what Zora has for Polar Bear Bunny. And we are getting a very modest return on our investment. 20 rupees back for 500. Nothing in Agina's cave for Hataka. And now Ajder making the first run over to the east side, so we'll get a check to see what's in Sahasral's closet, and possibly see if he's going to go into Eastern Palace. While Aussie, using his gloves now, is going to check the back of escape, so we'll get a few checks there.
Oh, Barga suit for the bottom player.
All right.
Okay, so the bottom player definitely feels lit at the bottom.
Yeah, our bottom players are definitely getting a lot of love early on with that hammer, the sword, the screw attack, the various suit. That certainly does open up some options. Itakana making his way over to the Zora side, checking the ledge, nothing but 20 rupees there. And we do get the Eastern play from Ajder. while Aussie is on his heels.
Okay, looks like Hitaka's about to do their own Zora investment, which is going to be pretty disappointing for Jim just as well.
Right?
What
Aussie
feels
now.
it? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Aussie now picking up the various suits for Hitaka as well as his bottle.
Well, hopefully the Zora has a little bit of a return on investment for our top players. Although neither of them have quite the money, Zora money yet.
No, neither of our top players have gotten much in the way of cash, so their trip to Zora, if it happens, is probably going to take some time.
Oh, we got a simultaneous sick kit check.
Right, Hitaka, Polar Bear Bunny, giving a little high five for what looked like maybe 50 rupees, I think. Both fluting, and we'll see where they go.
They're both going to Death Mountain. Oh wait, nope.
Nope,
Hitaka goes to Death Mountain. Polar went back to Link's house and to Link Island.
She might be. I don't know if she did her water checks yet, so she might be going to check the old man under the bridge. Hitaka looks like he's doing a dark room, which is not necessarily in logic without the lamp, but he's going to free the old man, see what he gets there, and open up that area to return to. Big key in the compass chest and eastern for our top players. Boomerang on the old man for Polar Bear Bunny, but donated kindly to Ajder. And now we're getting our first look at the SM area, so we're going to see what's at Croc Escape for our bottom players. And we have just some missiles.
Alright, Hitaka can check the... Oh, no, just a green ruby.
Just Gary.
There's a red boomerang for our
Red
top
boomerang.
players.
Ooh, and the scope. X-ray.
Okay, alright, looks like Polar is not going to check Eastern Palace.
Nope, doesn't look so, but I do think that's the first power bomb pack we've seen so far in the bottom players, whatever that cave is called.
Not know that gamer had a nickname.
Spec Rock? Is that what it? Spec Rock? I think so. And it looks like those are for the bottom players. Spectacle Rock. There we go.
Ooh, looks like Azra's gonna go and check the dungeons.
It's good. So we're going to see our first castle check from Ajder. Well, we've got Hitaka making their way to the eastern side. We've got Polar Bear Bunny freeing the old man from the darkness, getting a heart in return. And it looks like Aussie's going to do a similar play as Ajder. He's making his way up to the castle. Using the ice rod. Okay, and it looks like Aussie hasn't checked the Uncle locations yet, so he's doing that first. Just a little bit of love in the first check there for Aussie. PBB gonna go get her P-bibs.
find a single arrow feels like an insult.
Yeah, but it is, what do I hear folks say? It's the validation for the run.
So the single arrows validates the run? Okay.
I've heard that before.
I heard similar items, but I didn't think. But for a single arrow to be the validator, that's not what I expected.
I could be wrong, but it's either the single arrow or the single rupee. And it looks like we're going to get some cash at the end of Hyrule Castle.
Well, maybe they're both validations.
Aussie showing us some good bomb strats here to get through the castle, and we actually have our first return to Metroid now on Ajdar's side. So he is possibly going to check Retro Bin. There's really nothing else open to him at this point.
Now, most flavors, as we saw today, normally don't try retro brain at the beginning, but sometimes I like to do it just since you don't want to. I feel like it would just feel bad to get if it does has progression and you get trolled there.
Right.
But on the other hand, I can understand why some players would rather come back to it because you can only check 2 items until you can get like more from them.
Exactly, and only one of them is in logic. So the only logical check right now in Blue Bryn Star Retro Bryn is the Morph Ball location. There is another item in the Blue Bryn ceiling, but in the normal logic, that is not something that would be expected at this point without either high jump boots, space jump, speed booster. Now our players are skilled enough that they could easily check and get that item, and there we have a Moon Pearl on the regular. Okay, so that's interesting.
Well, it looks like it feels like I called it. That the Retro Bryn had a progression.
Right?
But they don't have a hammer to make use of it.
Not yet. And I missed it. I was looking at Polar Bear Bunny going into the first area where in Green Bryn where usually you'll see somebody do a mock ball if and when they have the morph ball. What was in the ceiling on Austra's side? Did you happen to catch it?
Looks like it was just a ruby.
Just a rupee? Okay. So nothing too important there, but that Moon Pearl definitely does give us progression. He's already got the glove, so all he needs for Dark World access is either the mitts or the hammer.
Looks like he Azure didn't go for the old Mother Brain location. Was that screw attack? Wait, no, excuse me, I'm getting the players mixed up.
Yeah.
That's our bottom. It would be Polar that has screw attack.
Yeah, and it looks like Polar actually might be making that play as we speak, so we'll get to see if Polar Bear Bunny is going to go left to... Well, she already did the left, so she might be making the play down now to Retro Bryn. So she could check Old Mother Brain, the Morph Ball location. Again, not in logic, but could check that Blue Bryn ceiling location.
Looks like our top players don't need to defeat Agas. It looks like it's just a red ruby behind the lumberjacks. Well, just in this one at the old Mother Brain location for our bottom players.
We've got Ajdar checking his Ice Rod Cave.
I was getting a little bit worried when you took that hit.
Yeah, those crabs do a lot of damage. 2 hearts with green mail, so you have to be really careful when you're going in that location. If you had gotten hit one more time, that would have been it. Getting a look now from Hitaka at the back of Escape. Looks like he might also possibly be setting up a death warp by getting hit by that bomb. And we've got a map, some power bombs for Aussie, and some rupees.
That may be the first power bombs we've seen for our top players.
I do believe those are. And he does look to be following through with that death warp, so... Ajder, meanwhile, farming up some rupees. Seems like he's probably going to go check Zora. We've got a question in his chat. What is the better, 2 vs 2 race, co-op, or multi-world? So there's a difference between the two. When you are doing co-op, you're both playing the same exact seed, so you have the benefit of being able to share information. For example, you could have one player early on do the north route, check out Kakariko. You could have the other player go the south route, check out Mini Moldorm Cave Ice Rod, and kind of share that knowledge and information. Whereas in the multi-world, you are essentially playing one singular seed that's shared between the both of you. So there's really no information to share. Definitely adds another fun dynamic to it. I don't know if you could say one's better than the other. The co-op is probably faster. One thing that we might see at some point is that while one player has a lot to do, another player has very little to do, just until a certain item gets found.
Speaking of items found, Osei found Pegasus boots for Hitaka, and Hitaka found the silver arrows for Osei.
It's a great find. So those Pegasus boots definitely going to help speed things up a little bit.
And while the silver arrows are not required per se, they do make the Ganon fight. Most of the bosses are a lot easier.
Yeah, and once we kind of find the bow, of course, which will at some point be required, there's a lot of bosses that you can finish a lot more quickly with the silver arrows. Vitreous is one, for example, who is really easy to finish off with silver arrows. PBB picking up those silver arrows for Astra as we speak. And yeah, so as far as teams go, we've got Ashtar and Polar Bear Bunny on the same team, so they're kind of working through, take basically one SMZ3, double it, so instead of having the normal 316 locations, you've got the 630 whatever. All items are split between both games, so it's really going to be a mystery to find out who has progression where, who's going to get it first, but at the end of the day, both of our runners have to both beat Ganon as well as Mother Brain. And definitely liking the Mega Man sprite on Aussie's side.
One thing I also wanted to add on that earlier question of co-op versus multi-world. I remember talking to a friend of mine about this, and his comment was, one thing he commented on co-op is that it can actually be harder, because since your partner will be telling you like, okay, we don't need to go that, you don't need to go that way, so you're not going to get, so you're making fewer unnecessary checks. But some of those unnecessary checks leads to like energy tanks or hearts. So in order to, there's our
there's our first morph ball.
So that opens up Metroid for Ulsay big time.
Yeah, especially having that screw attack and that various suit. Oh wait, no, that was the top player's morph ball, right?
Yeah.
So that does definitely open some things up, especially since the power bomb packs, I believe, for our top players as well. One thing I did miss is it looks like both of our bottom players now have their bows.
In some ways, that feels ironic. The top players have their silver arrows, while the bottom players have their bows.
Yeah, which is good to have. It means that our bottom players will be able to actually clear, now not logically, unless they can navigate through the dark rooms, which they probably can, but at least that gives them the ability to clear the dungeon having the bow.
Oh, there's our where the silver arrows for our bottom player at. It's over at the first missile location in Super Metroid.
Interesting.
Alright, Azure found the boots for Polar. And Osei found Hitaka's first glove upgrade.
Good find, of course. Aussie now making his way up to the Billy Mays room. So called because there's one item on top, in this case, morph ball bombs. But
there's more!
Right. And only 2 rupees. 20 rupees.
Speaking of... Speaking of which, if I'm not mistaken, that glove finally gives Hitaka Dark World access.
Yes, it does. So we now know, at least logically, both of our bottom players have Dark World access. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they go for that.
I think it's technically out of logic because I'm pretty sure some of these bits were had to gone through dark rooms.
The boots. I'm not sure that if chat can help out with that. It should be logical though.
According to Tony, gloves is in logic, but the boots are out of logic. But they have access to DM through morph. Okay, so yeah. The morph that made things logical, apparently.
Yeah.
According to Lenofuse. So okay, so Elsie is definitely going to check on all those Metroid checks. I'm wondering if Hitaka is going... Okay, looks like Hitaka's going to go ahead and finish off Eastern Palace, because you might as well, since you're here and you have the bow.
Yeah, he's got the bow, he's got the silvers. If you can get through this one dark room, get that key, then it'll be easy pickings after that.
Because having to return to Eastern Palace feels bad, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's one of those areas where, you know, sometimes you may or may not want to check it early on because it's Sphere 0, Sphere 1, however you want to label it, but it sometimes has something you need, but you can't always finish it right away.
Well,
Hitaka
I
does.
suppose the real question then becomes: is after Eastern Palace, will Hitaka go straight to Dark World or check something else?
I think at this point, if it's me, I'm going straight to the Dark World, just because there's a lot of value there. There's a lot of density. You've got the Village of Outcasts, you've got Thieves Town that you can check. There's a couple items that you can check pretty easily in Skullwoods. There's Hype Cave. I mean, there's too much in the Dark World to ignore at this point, given that we're not quite sure yet where the seed wants to point us.
Okay. Oh, and apparently we have our bottom player morph.
We do indeed. Where was that? I missed that.
I think it seems like chat missed it too. Oh, and there's Spring Ball. Free heat. I believe that was free heat. Oh, is that the room for high jump?
Okay.
I'm presuming it was on the top side, player side. And then whoever got Spring Ball found Spring Ball. Apparently, have just got them in the ire of everyone who hates Spring Ball.
I personally like Spring Ball. Can't say I
would say I'm kind of on the fence with Spring Ball because, like, on one hand, I feel like it's kind of underutilized, so it's kind of a shame that it doesn't get much to see much for play. At the same time, I can kind of, after trying to do like some mock balls with it, I can kind of understand why some people might not like it.
Yeah. And we also picked up a space jump on Aussie's side. And it does look like Hitaka took that Dark World to Hype Cave, and there didn't seem like there was anything of value there. We've got Polar Bear Bunny finishing up Eastern Palace, taking advantage of those silver arrows to one-shot the mimics, make easy work of the Armos Knights. And it looks like Aussie's now at a powerbomb count of, what, 15? Which is what's really only the amount required so that in the event we don't find Ice Beam at any point for our top players, they'll be able to get through Torian.
I believe Esther just ran out of got soft lock. Checo will have to confirm this for me, but I believe Azure was in the Billy Maze was up and ran out of PBs.
And that's the trouble. With a count of 5 power bombs, which is what it looks like he has, that makes it really tough to go to the left side.
Oh.
5.
Alright, there's power bombs there, but apparently you chose. Here's the king game.
And we can just get some super missiles there. Those will be some welcome power bombs from Polar Bear Bunny to Ashter. Get a look at Gauntlet, and I think I just saw missiles on the left, and I missed what was on the right.
It looked like a missile, I think.
Okay. Aussie performing a nice trick on the ledge there to quickly go through the crumbling blocks so that he could escape without having to waste a power bomb. Looks real nice when you see it. It's not that easy to do. And it looks like we're getting a Meyer Shed check. So we got some Titan mitts for Hataka. I didn't see where those came from. So he's making use of that and the flute. Checking out the Meyer Shed now.
Does a double pack of red rubies.
Yeah, just some rupees. And
oh, there's our
ether.
I think we spotted our second glove upgrade.
Okay. So Polar Bear Bunny just got her second glove upgrade. Looks like it was in the Brinstar area for our top players.
It was the early super missile location.
The early super missile location, okay. And thank goodness we've got Leno here keeping track of things. So Ether is the required medallion for the bottom players. Our top players have Ether.
I wonder how likely it'll end up with that our bottom players will start wishing they could, like, hey, buddy, can you come into my world and open up Mystery Meyer for me?
Right? Could I borrow that for just a moment? Ashter with a nice mock ball out of that Edekun's location here. Nicely exiting green. Yeah, so when you do have the bombs, that does activate the fight with Bomb Chorizo. If you happen to get here without the bombs, then the door won't stay shut and you can just get the item or not and exit.
That's it. Also, does a very skillful and quick Bomb Chorizo fight.
Yes, that Bomb Chorizo fight, if you have super missiles, of course, at the time, it just takes 2 to make quick work of them.
Looks like the Flute Boy only had the rupee for our bottom players.
Aussie making a nice Alcatraz escape there, making it look simple. PBB getting some super missiles and a heart container.
How did you find that out the hard way? You know, if the next update is not released yet. Leno says that the Bomb Chorizo will not change to activate when you get the item.
That'd be an interesting and fun change. And it looks like we've got Aussie making his way through Gauntlet right now. Ashter doing the Spore Spawn skip. Got both of our bottom players in the Dark World. And just a map in the Skullwoods big chest.
Oh wow, yeah. Flag is definitely right. Our top players have very little ammo. They still only have 1 pack of supers.
Yeah, which in Ashter's case, getting a 1 attempt Green Gate glitch there to get that space jump, which is not required in the normal logic, but something that typically our runners are going to do the first time they get through, just to make Brinstar a one-stop shop. The only time you really ever have to return if you don't have Speed Booster is to do that waterway check and the upper supers. Now we're getting Polar Bear Bunny opening up, but not quite yet, going into Thieves Town.
Chess speedy game real quick, and just a
Take care,
bottle
Leno.
for Azure.
Just a bottle, which for our runners probably isn't something they'll need to fill. For me, it's something I need to fill multiple times when I play.
Same.
Mail upgrade for Aussie. Now it looks like Aussie's going to make the play for wrecked ships. It'll be interesting to see what's there. He's got enough ammo and health that it should be pretty easy for him to take out the Squiddy Ghost. Spiky missiles on the top just has a little bit of love. And I find that one of the more impressive mock balls. I can never get it right getting out of that spiky missile place and actually hitting the mock ball on those stairs.
You mean leaving out of the spooky missile room?
Yeah, for some reason I always mess that up.
Yeah, I have only tried it a couple times and I messed it up, but I haven't given it a serious practice.
Yeah.
So I think the main one that I tried was the main mock ball I tried to practice was the one out of the PBs and Eddicoots.
Yeah. That one's tough.
That one I learned to get. It's just you kind of have to jump a little bit sooner than you would think. You don't need like a full run speed. Is the main one.
Yeah.
I mean, you do need to have the run held down, but you don't need to like do much running. And I think that, but unfortunately, I'm not consistent at it like some of these players are at it.
Yeah, the timing on that can be tricky. Like you said, you don't have to be going that fast, but the timing of when you jump, when you stop.
Because the main thing is that with that jump is that, I mean, it's okay to bonk the ceiling, you just don't want to bonk the wall.
Right. And as we're having our conversation about bonks, Aussie taking out Fantoon, which is the first Metroid boss we've seen to go, the first required of the 4 bosses. So there's Fantoon, Kraid, Dragon, and Ridley. Really nice Doppler strats from Aussie, something he's well versed in.
Being to find some major progression with the hookshot at the X-ray.
Which is kind of hilarious because I think in yesterday's Hard Seed, that's exactly where X-ray was as well, or the hookshot was as well.
Oh wow! Was it one of the troll items for yesterday's seed?
Depending on who you ask, I would say yes. But definitely a good find. It does open up some options. It gives us right side Death Mountain.
You can totally see it being a troll seed, because X-ray is not one of those checks you really like to do unless you have time to kill, or you.
Oh, and there's a mirror.
Looks like it was in the Thieves Town big chest. Unless you have something like Space Jump that makes it really easy to get across, but X-ray is kind of really out of the way. It's like one of those checks you like hope you can avoid.
Yeah, it's out of the way. It's not fun unless you've got some easy movement items.
I mean, obviously there's worse checks, like there are ever favorite Shack Tool.
Yes, Shack Tool is everybody's favorite out of the way. friend. trying to see here. Who was that mirror for?
I believe Azure got the mirror. Oh wait, or Polar.
So it looks like Azure found it for Polar Bear Bunny, but I thought I saw it on the right side as well, so I'm not sure if Taka maybe has his. Definitely finding some value in Deepstown.
Which have we had a map check yet?
I didn't see one, but also Hataka now with a Master Sword.
Well, it looks like one of our trackers saw a map check, because I'm seeing the pendants on our bottom players. Or at least we have a map check for our bottom players.
Yes, and big thank you and shout out to our trackers, Professor Renderer and Tony T. Young tonight. Definitely, as I've heard and agree with, the unsung heroes. Keeping track of all this, especially in a multi-world, is not easy. So thank you to them. Give them a follow, because it is hard work to keep track of all this stuff.
I can just it just reminds me of like some of the last races I was commenting on, and that was a multi-world. So it was not multi-world. It was a multi-troid. So unlike a multi-world, it's actually a shared world. So you actually they shared all the item finds of wherever they pick up and their health and ammo. But still, I'm still tracking like 4 different players at once, and that gets really hectic.
Yeah.
Whereas here, it's like, sure, their items might be found in another person's world. They're still very different item layouts, and that's even more harder to track.
Really is, and in one of those blink and you'll miss it situations, Ajdar made quick work of Kraid, getting the quick kill, and now exiting Kraid's lair. And just looking at what our trackers have, it looks like we've got a pendant, what is that, Skull Woods, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock. So that early Ice Rod, not necessarily required. Unless we find out that this is a ped seed.
I think this is like the first time I've seen a seed that doesn't require Turtle Rock or Misery Mire, so we might not actually need the orange cane, I believe it was.
Yeah, if Mire and Turtle Rock are both pendants, then the Cane of Samaria wouldn't be required, at least for our bottom players. Although it is definitely a quality of life item for places like Swamp Palace, Ice Palace. And here we are getting a Paradox Cave check on Ajdar's side.
A bunch of money. Oh, they have Zora money at least.
Yep, and there's the ice.
Ice before polar. And bombs.
And as pointed out in chat, Cane could still be required for GT, that's correct, so.
That would feel bad that the one item you skip is the one, turns out to be required for the big key.
Yeah.
I've never seen one match of this combo randomizer where they took like an extra hour because they skipped this one item check. And it turns out, and then they go straight to Kenneth's tower, and then that one item they check is where was locked behind. Was what was locking the Kenneth's tower big key.
Yeah, Rando's gonna Rando. And somebody in chat saying that PBB got the cane from Ajdar, so.
I believe he was referring to the cane in some area. Yeah, I saw that just as we were mentioning it. I think it was I forget.
And PBB getting their Bombos tablet, so helpful, not necessarily required at this point. And just taking stock of things, Hitaka, has he gotten his Morph Ball yet?
I did not believe so. I'll say found charge for Hitaka.
It's a good find. So finding charge, of course, means you're not going to have too much concern for ammo. You're not going to risk getting soft locked in any of your fights or on Mother Brain or something like that. Okay, so yeah, Aussie's heading up to get Hitaka's Morph Ball now. Thank you, Tony. While Ostra's making his way through the gauntlet, Polar Bear Bunny taking care of Gold Torizo. We've got Hitaka in Pod, which I think is the first time we've seen somebody go there.
And then we have Osei going for X-Ray.
Yep, Aussie going for X-Ray, which is where the hook shot was for the top player, right?
Yep, that is correct.
So definitely going to find some value here.
Oh, Polar Bear Bunny's going for Gauntlet the hard way. And
Yeah, those wall jumps are not easy.
Yeah, she makes it look easy.
With the skill of these players, they make everything look easy. For us normal mortals, not so much. Although also seeing there's a lot of energy on our top player side, but Polar Bear Bunny just working with one E-Tank.
Oh, I mean the Varia helps though at least, but
it does help.
But it's especially since that's because I can't remember if this seed this randomizer removes the balances out the suits or not.
I don't know offhand. Somebody in chat will probably correct me. I think there's been some kind of a change where the gravity suit reduces damage and the Vari suit reduces the elemental damage. I think. I could be wrong.
And we found Hitaka found Plasma Beam in one of the basement chests of Pod. So that's a big boost in firepower.
For sure.
Actually, that might actually give the Hitaka the microwave beam. If I remember, I can't remember if they got the X-ray scope or not.
Yeah, I don't recall if they got the X-ray. I know we saw an X-ray, but I don't remember who it was for, if it was for top or bottom, and of course it's not something that we have on our tracker.
Polar Bear does have the X-ray, so it's possible.
Okay.
One thing I find kind of ironic with that charge beam is that the bottom players are getting a lot of Super Metroid firepower. They got a lot more ammo. They got, or at least in Hitaka, they have charge beam, but apparently they have a lot less health. Where it's completely reversed for our top players.
Right.
They have a lot less ammo and firepower, but they have like a whole bunch more health.
And blink if you miss it, Polar Bear Bunny just got her own half magic, which isn't required, but is a nice quality of life item, and Ostra's Bombos in the Green Bryn early super missile location, or that general area. Aussie getting a nice Kraid quick kill, as he does, making it look easy. And rewarded with 300 rupees.
Oh, looks like Hitaka just found you third level.
Yes, Hitaka doing some dark room work in Pod. Aussie now with 2 Super Metroid bosses down, and we can of course see Ostra's making his way to Fantune as we speak. And for anybody new to SMZ3, in order to finish the game, you have to have all 7 crystals done in Zelda and defeat Ganon, as well as the 4 main bosses of Metroid, who are Kraid, Phantoon, Ridley, and Dragon. So you've got your G4 bosses there before you can get to Mother Brain, and then that's what'll complete it, is beating both Ganon and Mother Brain is what's required. So of course right now all of our players are looking for the necessary items to complete the dungeons that they know they have to beat. And then once they have them and they are in go mode, then it's just a race to the finish.
Azur's on some missile doppler shreds. Let's see if we get... Oh, it doesn't quite get a 3 round hit.
I gotta say, Phantoon's one of those bosses that I just still can't seem to figure out.
I kind of figured that out, but it's Phantom is not. I didn't find like the most readily available resources. It's a little bit more out of the way. Like if you if you just want a very easy strat to defeat Phantom, assuming you're doing something like 80%, then I found the easiest way to do it is just have just do charge, wave, spacer.
Right.
So if you have Ice Beam, turn that off, and then that way you could just charge attacks, pseudo screw through his wave of fireballs, and then each time you do a charge shot, you do just enough damage to hurt him badly, but he won't immediately disappear.
Right.
So then you can hit him with 2 more charge shots, and then you'll have a relatively easy 4-round Phantom.
Good advice, and I do see something in chat about Kraid being marked off for Ajder versus Polar Bear Bunny, because I'm not sure she's gotten there yet. So I do believe that Ajder's got both Phantoon and Kraid done, just like Aussie. I don't think either of our bottom 2 runners have gotten any of the Metroid bosses down yet, although they do seem to be making their way through the Zelda dungeons. We've got Eastern Palace and Thieves Town done on Hitaka's side. We've got Eastern Palace done for Polar Bear Bunny. So in a game that could take anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 hours, it's still way too early to tell if there's a lead underway.
Looks like Hitaka now has a full combo. And chat was mentioning that apparently Azure did get Charge Beam from Polar, from in the Eddie-Kun's room.
Okay.
So that helps at least. I mean, it's a naked Charge Beam, but at least it helps. It's something if Azure does unfortunately runs out of ammo.
Right. Always good to have charge, and then you can stop worrying so much about ammo. Ajder checking out the wreck ship reserve area, I think, but having done a save is going to exit out and get rid of that heart. Save some time. And we've got a grappling beam now, and a very nice clip by Ajder. Ajder with a very nice attic.
Very nice.
Only I don't think he's going to get rewarded with much. I don't think there was anything over here. But he does get a sword from PBB, which Polar Bear Bunny, unseemly, or at least I missed it, currently at the Tempered Sword, which will make the remaining fights through the game a lot easier.
Okay, I'll say going for ice beam location. Oh, they're actually gonna check underneath it first.
Yeah, Aussie gonna check the crumbled tower first. Has plenty of energy to do health runs. Or hell runs, not health runs, but finds nothing but 20 rupees in crumble tower.
Asher checked the sky missile over in Metroid. Was just a missile. And Hitaka finishes off Helmosaur King.
Yeah, very nice fight on Hitaka's side to finish off Helmosaur King. So that gives them 3 crystals down already. While Ajder enters the bowling game. Aussie resetting that shield, because who wants one of those?
Oh no, I find the mirror shield useful for laser bridge.
Progression on Laser Bridge, huh? Or another shield?
Or alternately, if grabbing the red shield for blind the thief.
Yeah. And that can help. There are some places where the shield comes into play. It's kind of one of those things where, and I don't know the specifics of it, but from what I hear, whether you have one shield, the fire shield, or the mirror shield, the lag addition is relatively the same. As we see a shovel there in the Alpha Peeps location for Polar Bear Bunny, because who doesn't love a fetch quest? And yeah, I agree, Psycho is. There is so much to keep up with. I mean, even just commentating, I'm looking at, 1 or 2 runners at a time, and I feel like I'm missing half the game.
Same here. It's just like, because I mean, a person can only reliably handle what 2 or 3 things at once.
Right?
And then of course the multi-world just compounds it.
Yeah, the multi-world is it's so much fun to play. If you haven't checked it out, go to Samus.link. The creation of this game is something that still baffles my mind. The fact that Total, who's the mastermind, I believe, behind it, was able to discover that the Zelda and Super Metroid use different memory files, and that's really where the ability to combine them came into play. So you've got Super Metroid, you've got Zelda, you've got 4 portal locations that you can go back and forth from one game to the other. Still, again, blows my mind how this was put together, but it's so much fun to play.
Make sure you have a lot of spare time before you do it.
Yeah, I still remember it's been, I want to say, like 6 or 7 months since I discovered this existed, and I was trying to show my daughter some Super Metroid speed runs and somehow stumbled across this, and then just kind of my love for the game grew from there. But I think my first seed took me just under 6 hours from
That's
start
better
to
than
finish.
mine, because my first seed took me like 8 hours. Part of it was admittedly, it was like my first time playing Zelda again since the 90s. So there was various points where it's like, I literally could not remember how things proceeded in the original Zelda side.
Yeah. Honestly, it's funny, and as we are talking, Aussie finds a grappling beam for Taka as well as his own cape. I feel like at this point, all I've played is Rando. If I were to try to play either game vanilla, I would just be lost.
I mean, the Metroid side, I didn't have much trouble with it, because I'd already done a lot of speed runnings, any percent on Super Metroid. And I've done before, and I was in a randomizer tournament, so I've kind of gotten used to a Metroid randomizer. But it was but the Zelda side, other than playing vanilla like decades ago, I was basically going blind.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between the two. So Super Metroid, when we talk about normal logic versus hard logic, typically references the Super Metroid side, certain tricks that are or aren't available. You can definitely get locked out of things a lot easier in Zelda.
You see, you're trying to do Icebreaker.
Yes.
Oh,
and does get it.
I'll admit that was a hard trick to learn for me to learn until recently after I followed a different tutorial that give me a different cues to work with.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard trick to learn. There's a couple different ways to do it, whether you use a like a menu buffer, or sometimes you'll see folks just slashing their swords back and forth. We did just see that Polar Bear Bunny with that shovel did get the speed booster for Oster, so that's a nice find.
Polar Bear just needs to find Gravity Suit, and then Azure can go and fight against Drake, fight a giant shrimp.
Yeah, realistically, there's not that much keeping Polar Bear Bunny or Hitaka at this point from finishing all of Metroid. Getting that gravity suits is really all that would be, I think, logically required, or if not logically required, at least required for their skill. Other items, quality of life, speed booster, high jump boots, things like that, definitely would just make it an easier playthrough, but certainly they don't need that much more to finish the games.
Azure apparently taking advantage of how the bounce work with the sword. If you hold your sword out, apparently Moldarm can't push you off. Apparently. But one thing I will say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, Tony pointing out in chat there that the player 1's gravity suit is in the player 2's Ice Palace big chest, so definitely a good find there.
Oh yeah, that's going to be very helpful. One thing I will say, that kind of, I'm not sure if it's quite a grievance or a complaint, but it's kind of like one of your body's really vary, I suppose. That some you might not dislike is that it does feel this combo randomizer does feel a little bit unbalanced, just because Super Metroid can be done so much more quickly. Since you need relatively speaking, needs a lot fewer items. And
there's definitely a lot fewer required items, and as we're talking here, Hitaka using that Bombos tablet to not only get into Ice Palace, since we don't have a fire rod yet, but using it to break Cold Stairs ice and get through this fight. And I don't know the exact number of items. I'm not a Super Metroid expert. I don't play either game individually, Metroid or Zelda, but I do believe I've heard some commentators in the past say that there's either 14 or 15 required items in the low percent.
About 14% is the typical low percent for Super Metroid.
Yeah, so
12% can be done, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I think there's a few items, and then most of it's ammo, right?
Yeah. It's basically getting one of each ammo, and then like you'll have to get like 3 energy tanks, both suits, and then probably getting like you're going to get charged, and then depending on which, then you have a choice between Ice Beam or Speed Booster.
Right. Which, if I had to pick, I'd take Speed Booster all day.
Honestly, I think and as you're breaking the ice, looks like we're going to get some fried shrimp soon.
Yeah, is this our first look at Meridia?
I do believe it is.
Oster doing a very nice stutter step short charge there, but only getting rewarded with 20 rupees. Very hard trick to do.
I mean, he requires some very precise timing. I bet if I'm lucky, I'll get like a 2-step. I'll get a 2-step short charge, but that's about the best I can do.
Yeah, I can do a single tap. The stutter timing, I just can't get. So when you see somebody like Ajder do it, or Aussie can do it, a lot of the runners can do it. It's impressive to see, because it is not easy to do. Now we've got Polar Bear Bunny, who's finishing up on Cold Stare. Getting another crystal completed. And just like that, an hour and 9 minutes in, and Hitaka's got 4 crystals down, but no Metroid bosses. We've got both Ozzy and Azure with 2 bosses down, having completed Kraid and Fantoon. Polar Bear Bunny with 3 crystals cleared. So we are making our way through. And again, huge thanks to our trackers for keeping track of all this. So please do give Tony and Professor Renderer a follow.
Ooh, we found a book of Midoriya.
A Book
And
of
it's for
Medora.
Azure.
It is. We have obtained literacy in Meridia for player 1. And Aussie is making his way through Meridia, so we'll probably find that very soon. Azure now. Sorry, go ahead.
Unfortunately, Azure has that speed figure, so they can check that aqueducts.
Yeah. But that does put these checks in logic. Now, when you're running, are you checking left or right sandpit first?
Oof. I suppose it probably depends if I'm going to check Shack Tool or not.
I go back and forth. I can't make up my mind. Hitaka really wants that little piece of heart in the cathedral there in his Norfair, making his way over to the east side.
But if it wasn't for Shack Tool, if I'm not checking Shack Tool, it's kind of... I'll probably be the same way. I'll just probably just pick one. Maybe go... I could not quite see it, make it out.
Well, after resetting out of there, either it's something that was important, I missed it, and he wants to come back, or it was not important at all. Yeah, and these are a great group of runners, so if you haven't already, please give them a follow. We've got Azure, Polar Bear Bunny on the left side as a team working through this. We've got Polar Bear Bunny with a very nice quick kill there. Aussie and Hitaka running together. Please give our runners a follow. They definitely deserve it. They put on great entertainment and content. Some of the best runners we have in the game.
The right sandpit had nothing adventurous for our top runners.
No, but we do see Hitaka pick up his Quake medallion, so even though he doesn't need to go into any of the pendant dungeons unless we somehow find out pet is required. Ooh, as Hitaka finds a fire rod for himself. Doesn't have to worry about medallions. So far, I think we're 3 for 3 on Kraid quick kills, are we not?
I do believe so, yes. It just comes down to Hitaka.
Yeah, so Hitaka's the only one that hasn't ventured over there yet. So we're 3 for 3 on the Kraid quick kills. That's always nice to see.
Ooh, also trying to go for a snail clip. Getting that snail into the right position is always
It's hard. You've got to get it onto just the right pixel. Looks like he's going to reset it and try again. Unfortunately, he's not going to be rewarded with anything, because I think there was just a aero capacity upgrade and something else unimportant up there. Certainly nothing. Rupees, yeah, certainly no progression.
I mean, if it was a reserve tank for our bottom players, that might be helpful, but...
Oh, and he gets it, so we've got the missiles.
I doubt they really need it.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, our runners are doing fairly well on health. The top players have plenty of health to get through the game, as well as enough to do the stand-up glitch when they get to Mother Brain. The lower runners have enough to at least finish the game, although I'm sure they would like a little extra comfort. And now we've got our first Dragon fight on Ostr's side.
Are we gonna get a fried shrimp, or do you think he's gonna do the spine shrimp?
I'm thinking he might go with the grapple strat. Does he have... So he's got... Does he have plasma?
No, he does not. Looks like he's going for the speed booster.
Okay, gonna try to get that blue suit, which will make his exit a little bit easier.
Yep, quick grab kill.
Yep. And he gets it. Very nice. So we get
Oh, there's our lamp. We found our first lamp. Polar Bear finds the first lamp in for the bottom player at the ice beam location.
Oh, wow.
So, Varia then lamp. And Dragon was hiding a bug catching net. I guess Dragon got a hobby in catching bugs. Who knew? Okay, and Ozzy has figured out what that item was for the left sand pit. It was just a 50 rupees.
So not something that they're going to care about too much. It looks like Ajder, not having necessarily the required items, is going to skip checking plasma and instead head to the Meridia Dark World portal, which will put him out in the Dark World side of Ice Rod Cave. Hitaka making easy work of Crocomire with his charged plasma beam.
It's basically a one-shot as long as it's you an initial missile first, isn't it?
I think it's a one-shot in any case as long as you follow him. So like if you were to not let him move outside of the screen, he might recover. But I think with charged plasma, one shot should be enough to finish him off.
Because I remember that normally the first hit is like locked to like 100 damage, but I'm not sure if that still applies for the charged plasma.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody in chat who can help us out with that, but I know anytime I go there with charged plasma, sometimes I have to hit him twice. So that might be the case that he needs more than one shot, but oftentimes I think it's one and done.
It looks like Polar Bear is going to go and finally take care of Aga. Get
right?
That gravity suit for themselves, apparently.
Yeah, an hour and 60 minutes in, I forgot that we needed Aga. Catfish, it looked like, just had a little bit of money.
Considering that all the dark rooms, I think Polar Bear was probably just like they got that lamp. They're like, okay, let's do this now.
Yeah.
Because most of the other dark rooms are not that hard to memorize, but just looking at this castle town, this will be a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, certain dark rooms you learn earlier, like the Eastern Palace, Death Mountain, getting the old man out. Some are a little bit trickier to learn, like Pod or Misery Mire or something like that. These runners are all probably capable of doing them in dark rooms, but yeah, waiting for that lamp, you've got the boots, you know you need to do it. It's a good time to just go ahead and get it done.
I remember trying like the dark room for Misery Mire and the escape, the front of the escape, and I'm just like, yeah, even though I'm checking the reference and I have a sword to mark my location, I just can't figure this out.
Yeah. Now Hitaka going to try and do this not as easy as you might think. Oh, and there he goes, he falls. Trying to do those grappling hooks to get across to Indiana Jones. Not making it. So the question will be, does he try to go back or does he just skip it? Getting a graveyard ledge check for really nothing much on Ajdra's side.
I really don't like that check. It's so it feels like it's it's like X-ray. It's a little out of the way. I mean,
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
one of Go
I
ahead.
mean, if you're lucky, you can just gear to the King's Tomb.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always. But Rainbow is not always going to be that nice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot less nice if you don't have your boots there and you can't do both checks at once. And there we are, we're seeing a pendant pod on player one side. I don't remember if we got the map check on Aussie's end or not. I know we're aware of all the bottom players' dungeons.
Which side got the book again? Was it the top or the bottom player was the book for?
I want to say it was for the bottom player.
I'm wondering if they're going to do a pid check. I mean, if it's for the top player, Azure could do okay. Make it. Oh, it's for the top player. I just saw it for Azure's.
Okay, cool. So yeah, he could
Or,
definitely mirror over when he
and do a
gets
quick
to
check.
the entrance and do a quick check for sure.
Yeah, because it feels a lot better if you if you can do a quick check on the pedestal while you're doing Skull Woods.
For sure. It's one of those moments that your heart just might skip a beat, depending on what you see the message is.
Although I imagine it's probably even more trolly if it's like it becomes required to do a blind pedestal.
Yeah, so I've had that happen one time. So in the SG Live tournament, when I was playing against another runner, SP Ridley, we actually ended up with a blind morph ped seed, which was insane but fun.
You had to so you had to do a blind check of the pedestal for Morph.
You had to do a blind check, and morph was on ped.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and it does look like we're getting some download content on Hataka's side for Kraid, missing that quick kill by just a little bit. Looks like on the top player's side, Big Bada Boom, not going to miss anything up there. I don't think that's probably just like a bomb or a missile or something like that. So no ped required, I think, on the top player's side. Is that power bomb? I'm still trying to figure out the codes on there. They're so cleverly written. Half the time I read them and I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
Yeah, they're very radical-esque. Some kind of flying bomb. I mean,
And that makes sense. I thought that was super missiles. Was the flying bomb one? I really truly don't know.
oh, and Azure finally got some, and finally has a beam to go with their charge.
Oh, and a space jump on player one's side in the chess game for player two. So that's going to help out. Having space jump and screw attack makes the movement a lot easier. And since nobody's made a dip to LN, and I don't think the bottom players have, since they don't have the gravity suit, haven't made their way into Meridia, that's certainly going to make their movement a lot easier.
Yeah, especially the space jump and screw attack is especially helpful in Lower Northern.
Yeah. It basically just makes free movement.
Although the bottom players will still have to watch their health, because those enemies down there hit hard.
Very true. And they're not quite as hefty on the E-tanks as the top players are. Yeah, and as mentioned, Ellen feels a little hinted by the early flute. Certainly that, the flute and the gloves certainly do hint in a various suit at an early LN. So we just haven't seen that yet.
I mean, I believe the polar bear body did do a ongoing chorizo.
Yeah, we did see a GT check, but nothing further. Polar Bear Bunny getting some armor upgrade from Ozdra's Thief Town. And really, we're almost at the 90-minute mark. I'm just kind of wondering what's next. We've got
Oh, it looks
some
like
crystal.
we do have our map checks done for the top players.
Okay, awesome.
So it looks like Pod is a pendant, and then Skull Woods is a pendant.
Yeah, Pod, Eastern, and Skullwood pendants on the top.
So unlike our bottom players, the top players are definitely do require the medallions and the cane in some area.
They will, and we've got 2 medallions on Ozdra's side, just 1 on Aussie's. So we don't know yet, I think, which ones are required. So it could be that they already have the ones they need, or it could be that the one they need is the one missing. So a little ironic, our bottom players have access to all 3 medallions and need none. And our top players, we don't know which ones they need yet.
Alright, Hitaka finally picks up their shovel. We'll see if they decide to go and check on that soon.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how soon they go and turn that in, which I think is what resulted in the speed booster, right?
I believe so, yeah. And while speed booster, logic-wise, the speed booster is required. In terms of more advanced movement technique, there are ways around not needing speed booster.
Yeah, it's one of those items that. And now we have a mirror shield, or at least a shield upgrade on Hitaka's side for Aussie. But yeah, it's one of those things where you can get around it. It certainly does make a life a lot easier to have it, though.
Aussie does not appear to have speed booster, so actually, does he have? Do they have ice beam, or are we gonna see an ice clip, or maybe? The answer to the question, Swag, speed is the main place that speed is typically required is to access Botwan and Dragon. That's in terms of logic speaking. However, in terms of more hard logic, it's possible to ice clip or do a PB clip or power bomb clip.
And even in normal, and somebody in chat might correct me if I'm wrong, given that they have Moon Pearl flippers, Speed Booster may not even be required for Dragon because you can always just take the Meridia portal.
I keep forgetting about that portal.
It's the easy one to forget.
It's so out of the way!
It is. The only thing more forgotten is the Forgotten Highway.
I will remember the Forgotten Highway, but I will not remember that door. Okay, looks like I'll say he's doing the PB clip, or Crystal Flash clip, I should say.
Yep.
Let's see if they get it. Oh, no. If you ask me, the Crystal Flash clip is either the most difficult or the relatively easiest difficult trick, if that makes sense. It is a generally difficult trick because it's like a 2-frame window.
And there it looks like he's getting it.
Yep, and also gets it.
Wow. I've never seen that done before, and that's amazing.
It's difficult, but as I was saying, it's difficult because you have like a 2-frame window, but there's some, or at least for me, and some other players I know, that there are some convenient cues for timing, so that you can semi-reliably get it, at least hopefully within your before you ran out PBs to do the Crystal Flash flip.
Yeah, and as we're talking, Aussie with a 1-cycle Botswoon kill. Very nice.
I feel like Botwan and Fantoon are like the hardest bosses to get really quick with.
Yeah, neither of which I'm good at. Botwoon is one that I'll just skip it and back to already if I can.
Oh, and Asher finds high
Ooh,
jump boots for Polar Bear Bunny.
that's a nice find. We've got Hitaka currently working on Fantoon. Looks like he's doing some microwave action there and gets it. Very nice job.
I keep wanting to think Ghostbusters and I think they actually pulled out a Photon back.
All I can say is if you're doing the microwave beam, don't cross the streams.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if an evil god appears, then yeah, it crosses streams. Watch Ghostbusters 1 if you want to know that reference.
Right? Yeah, that's kind of dating, isn't it?
Yeah, I figured I'd mention that just so people know that someone for a year from now can know what the heck I'm talking about.
Now we've got a Dragon fight going on Aussie's side, so he'll clear up his third boss. Be curious to see how he goes through it if he wants to. Well, it looks like he'll have to go the ammo way because he doesn't have the speed booster yet, so he can't do that strat. He doesn't have grapple beam. Looks like he doesn't have charge.
So interesting. We found another lamp. Polar Bear found the Azure lamp. And 2, speaking of flying bomb that was mentioned earlier by chat, that was one of the Bombos medallions tomb thing. Said it was a flying bomb.
Really? So when it says the flying bomb thing, that's the Bombos?
On the Bombos location.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. And Aussie having a very nice Dragon fight finishes him off with plenty of ammo to spare. So that's 3 bosses down now, just leaving Ridley to be done by both player ones. Hitaka trying a difficult trick here to use a power bomb to... Oh, and he gets it. Second try. Very nice. To get up into the reserve E-tank spot.
Going out and navigating their way through the spiky room of death. Take a couple of hits, but they do have Varia, but they make it through just okay.
And just some super missiles for Aussie. So he's gonna skip out on those. One fun thing to note with the way that multi-world works is if you find something for your partner and you reset, they get to keep that item.
Yeah.
So Hitaka finding those missiles and then resetting, even though they were for Aussie, Aussie will still have those missiles. And I'm sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the way the multi-world works is that there's like a separate server that kind of keeps tracks of what items found. So once you find something, the server already is like, oh, you already found it, so...
Yeah, so even if you were to... Like, let's say your partner found a lot of stuff for you and you died. When you, let's say, revived at your ship, you would see a long list of items that you have already received from them. So it's definitely a nice way that the multi-world works in that respect. And then the bottom right here from Hitaka, we're just seeing a bottle, which looks like he's going to grab and it's his own.
Check a catfish.
Yeah, we're getting a catfish check on Aussie's side. I don't know if we saw that on Ozdra's yet. I know we saw it on the bottom.
I mentioned also it's also going to do a mirror and check Zora.
That would make sense. So just a little money, but nope, he is skipping out of town and saying no.
Or did Aussie already check Zora?
They might have. I know they had the flippers early. I think they had the money a little while ago, so they probably already checked it. And now getting another map check, green pendant at Skull Woods. We've got a red crystal at Turtle Rock on the top. I didn't see where the
yeah.
other red crystal was. Obviously, Light World.
Okay, Tony confirms it. I'll say already checked Flora.
He did. Okay. Yeah, and we've now got a red cane for Ashter. So that's both of our left side players with their red canes, so that'll be good. Even if it's not necessarily required on the bottom, although it could be for GT, definitely makes clearing some of those dungeons earlier when you've got Ice Palace, which we've already seen Icebreaker. I don't think we've seen Swamp yet, but there's the Diver Down trick, which can help you save some time using that red cane, or bombs, though I haven't learned how to do that.
I recently learned how to do it with the bombs. I say it's similar in difficulty to Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Personally, I thought Andy, who mostly focuses on Zelda, had a tutorial on YouTube that I thought was very helpful for both Icebreaker and Diver Down.
Yeah, and we probably watched the same videos. I tried to watch a few, and I've learned of both. Definitely, Diver Down strikes me as the easier of the two tricks to pull off. And Tony pointing out in chat that the biggest place to miss Red Cane is the Wizrobes and GT, and it does definitely make those rooms a lot easier when you can just cane, kill 3 in the first one, 3 of the 4 in the second one, and then knock them out. There's just so much utility.
I saw that, but I have not. I don't quite have the skill level to pull that off to kill like 3 of them. Is a single cane burst.
Yeah, I can do the first one. I have not yet been able to do the second room with the Wizrobes where there's 4 of them, and you have to get 3 with the cane and then hit the other one.
Is it the conveyor belt that throws you off?
I don't know if it's the conveyor belt or just my lack of skill. It's one of the two. Usually it takes
me
me
a little bit of both.
It could be a little bit of both. It certainly looks pretty though when you see these guys pull it off.
Oh yeah.
I think for me it's one of those things where you see it the first time and it's like, oh god, that looks so easy. Of course I could do that. And then you actually try to pull it off yourself and it's like, I might need to work on that.
Yeah, it's actually a lot. I mean, the same applies to some of the movement. You're like, oh wow, they kind of like just like expert Parker or Matrix this stuff, and you're like, okay, I can do that. You try to do it, and like, okay, I can't do this.
Yeah, a lot of these players, they're so good. They make the movement look so easy. Doing the gate glitches, I think we've seen multiple first try successes. You know, those are not easy tricks to pull off, but these players are so skilled that they make it look easy.
Although, admittedly, so I take this up for some of them, like Icebreaker and Diver Down. It's just understand the specific nuance of the inputs and the cues makes a huge difference. Because if you're just watching someone do it, you're not exactly know all the nuance of what goes behind the trick that makes it that goes behind it. So that makes it a lot more difficult to pull off.
For sure. And it looks like we had an armor upgrade in the bottom right gauntlet Hataka found.
Ooh, Hataka almost got only one side of the back of gauntlet. It feels terrible if you actually get only one side of the gauntlet.
It does, especially if the other side is the one that you need.
Oh yeah.
Then you know you've got to go back through the whole thing all over again.
Yeah, and if you're doing like and Asher finds some Polar Bear Bunny's speed booster.
Nice. So that was in the left side of the dark area of Pod.
More energy tanks for Azure. Azure's just drowning in energy tanks.
Yeah, definitely a lot of energy for our top runners. The bottom two are at a comfortable place. Neither of them will have any trouble surviving any of the fights that they have. In order to do the stand-up glitch for Mother Brain, I believe you need to have 7 tanks, I think it is.
You need 7 tanks, yes.
So we're definitely gonna... They'll be wanting to see those next 1 for Hitaka and 2 for Polar Bear Bunny to be able to do that. Ozger and a Pendant Eastern, which it looks like he's already been to, so I'm not sure if he's hoping for an item on the Armos Knights or not.
Is it the green pendant?
I thought that was Skull Woods. Or maybe I was looking at the wrong map, though. Maybe it was Skullwood Green for the bottom players.
I don't think this tracker really differentiates between the red crystals and the green pendant versus their counterparts. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, but one thing I know for sure is we will soon find out, because Ozger will probably... Okay, so Tony's saying there's a little star next to it for green.
Oh, okay, yeah. In the Discord restream, it's too. The resolution is too small for me to make out the star.
Yeah, and that is a blue pendant, not a green one. So.
As you figured, they might as well do it just in case, since they're already coming out of Poland.
Yeah, which is a smart play to do, right? It doesn't take that much time to go through and just finish them off. I don't think we know if the top players yet, because the book was on the bottom, right?
Book was on top.
The book was on top. Okay, so that's when we know that the pendants aren't actually required.
Ooh, Polar Bear Bunny's going to check climb supers.
Okay, so book was on top. We already know that the top head is not required. So, interesting play. It'd be one of those questions to ask later on.
Ooh, Polar Bear finds a mushroom for themselves.
Ah. And as mentioned before, who doesn't love a fetch quest? Speaking of books, looks like we're going to get a tablet check here, a Bombos tablet check on Aussie's side. Some kind of flying bomb as he receives his spring ball.
Hitaka just now checking the rest of Burn Star.
Yep, Hitaka actually doing the spore spawn skip, which you can do there by opening up the hole with a bomb or power bomb, and then positioning yourself in such a way that the super missile will actually break the block on the other side off screen, removing the need to actually go fight spore spawn. So if you're new to SMZ3, then you'll that's why you will rarely ever see, or I should say never see, anybody actually fight spore spawn.
I came close to a couple of times of having the force spawn just because I was like, I could not remember the exact positioning for the to launch the super missile, but I'm like, do I really want to risk getting this item that would be important?
Right. Yeah, it does take pretty specific positioning, and you'll see different players do it in different ways. And it looks like we got a Ozger checking out the, I forget what this one's called. Something super missiles, but
It's
What
the
is it?
climb supers.
Climb supers, which ends up just being supers still.
Is this even randomized?
Right? At some point that had to be said. So thank you. But yeah, for that sports spawn skip, you'll see a lot of different players. There's different positions you can be in. I don't know all of them. I just know that most players will run to the left and then back to the right and then stop on one of those tall mushroom type things, and that usually puts you in the right spot to do that.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, it's not like super. You don't need to be like super precise, but it's precise enough that you can't just randomly guess at it.
Yeah, for sure. And now I've got Polar Bear Bunny, who's getting her gravity suit. Or I should... Yeah, that's her gravity suit, because Astra already has his. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly she takes that to Meridia and give us some new information. Looks like we may be getting that now.
Ooh, is Asher going to do a waterway check? Yep, waterway.
Yes, we are getting a waterway check, and looks like we're not going to see that Meridia check. Polar Bear Bunny is taking that grappling hook to the east side of Death Mountain. Now, in terms of go mode, what are we still looking for? We don't need either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock on the bottom, so that Fire Rod only really required for Skullwoods, which I think is also a pendant, so...
Let's see. I would say Varia, probably.
Yeah, our top players definitely need Varia. Oh, we just found a hammer for Ajder.
I mean, unless they want to do a Uber Hell one.
Yeah, which is possible. Both of the runners, Ajder and Asi, could easily do a Varialess Lower Norfair. They're both very good Super Metroid players, RBO. And it looks like we just found Mitts as well on Ajder's side, so very loaded Paradox for the bottom players getting stuff for the top right. Or no, was that misclicked? Looks like it just came off. Hey, that happens. There's a lot to keep track of. Although PBB does have her mitts though, right? Looks like that got it unclicked.
Yeah.
Well played, Seru. Gotta love the puns.
We're doing another
Ether tablet check here. And we're going to be rewarded with some missiles. Asi taking...
Is Asher going to check Shack Food?
I think that might be what he's doing. He's got the grappling hook. Yes, we're going to get a shack check on the top left for Monster, as Asi takes our beloved thief Kiki to the entrance of Pod.
Now, let's see, for the bottom players, I mean, assuming they have enough ammo, they might need the mirror, maybe?
Yeah, it looks like on the bottom it might just be mirror that's required. They've got suits.
The mirror for the swamp palace.
Yeah. So really, I mean, our bottom players, there's really not that much keeping them from finishing both games. Both suits are available, which we know. Itaka, of course, has not yet done Aga to get his gravity suit, but could. Or does he not have his lamp yet? Where was the lamp for our bottom players?
Oh. I'm pretty sure it was
He does have lamp. Okay, so Hitaka does have the ability to clear Agawon, get his gravity suit, finish Super Metroid. So really, just the mirror is keeping our bottom players. That's their go mode. And for our top players, I think it really just depends on the knowledge we find out for what's required to get into Mire and Turtle Rock and the Mitts and Fire Rod.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll need the mitts for Turtle Rock at the very least.
Yeah, Mitts are definitely going to be required, as is the Fire Rod. And as far as Quake goes, we just don't know yet if that's going to be needed or not. So if we don't need Quake, then it's Fire Rod, Titan Smith's Go mode on our top players, as well as Varia, because I don't think we know where that is yet. Our bottom players really just need Mirror, and they can finish both games.
Top might not, it may or may not need the boots for the desert torch.
True.
It depends on what item is on the torch.
Very true, yeah. So the boots may or may not be needed on the top for the torch. Also, of course, there's GT's torch, so there's always the fun in seeing the big key there and not having boots, and wondering where you might have missed it.
Yeah, that race I was mentioning, where they had to spend an extra hour going back and looking for an item. It was tedious.
See, all of our players now have their hammers, so they're good there. And I think you said you were going to bring up Tracker earlier to try to keep track of things. Where have we not seen yet?
Oh, I think I actually closed it.
Understandable, it's a lot to keep track of. So Ossie's been to Desert Palace? Okay. Also getting his speed booster from Hitaka.
I don't recall Ase being to Desert Palace.
I must have missed it too. Ossie also just getting his wave beam now, so that'll help with his damage output. And also as we... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So it looks like Hitaka's going to check the Ether tablet, while Polar Bear Bunny is checking Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, and not really finding anything of value there.
Looks like Azur's going to start on Swamp Palace now.
Which will be our first look from our top players there, so there could definitely be something of value in here. I think there's 6 items in total in Swamp Palace, so certainly could find one of the missing keys to finishing the game for either player. Although it does look like this is a return trip.
Oh, both top players did Swamp without Hammer.
Gotcha, okay.
Alright, without the Hammer they can't flip that switch. The front those bolt thingies.
Yeah, so requirements to get into Swamp Palace, of course, are the flippers and the mirror. You can't get in without those. And then, as we're seeing now, you need the hammer to open up this switch to get to the rest of Swamp. So I don't recall seeing in the first chest whether it was a item, compass, map, or a big key or not, or anything, but... Oh, I'm just getting that menu check. It was none of those. So still could be a lot of value here. Now we've got Hataka, who's going to be finishing off Hera and getting their 5th crystal, leaving only 2 more to be able to open up the door to Ganon. Polar Bear Bunny is in Lower Norfair, so possibly making their way to Ridley. And blink if you miss it, Ozzy has Helmasaur down. And yep, which I don't often see this left one. I've seen it happen a few times, but I don't understand that one. Normally the block that I've seen gets thrown on the right side. Ooh, and there's an ice beam. Okay. So good news for our top players. The ice beam's probably something that'll fall in Aussie's path at some point. They won't have to worry about the power bomb count once they get to Torian. They'll be able to easily freeze and kill the Metroids.
Yeah, with that ice beam, you'll need at least a minimum of 15 power bombs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if Polar Bear Bunny is able to manipulate their RNG.
For the Ridley fight?
Oh no, there's just gonna screw it.
Oh.
You can manipulate, depending on how you proceed for that room in the Wastelands, you can manipulate the RNG so that one of those, I forget the name of the enemy, but so you can just roll across the room and they just pop over you instead of popping into you.
That's a good trick to know. Because otherwise those side hoppers can do a lot of damage. Now we can see Ozger doing a spin sword strat. Working on Argus. Switching over to the hammer. So the hammer itself does tempered sword damage. So if you happen to have that, it can make a lot of the fights a little bit easier.
So we can work around that short.
And going with the silver arrow strat, which is a one-shot kill.
And we're getting our first Ridley fight with Polar Bear Bunny.
Yep. Off to a good start. So Ridley has 18,000 health, which would require 30 super missiles, if I remember correctly.
I believe that's correct. Now, listen, if you have plenty of super missiles, Ridley, I wouldn't say he's a pushover, but he's... as long as you have enough heat tanks, he's not too terrible.
Yeah, he's one of those bosses where I think it's not scripted like Blind is necessarily, but I think there's certain things you can do to change or manipulate his patterns and exploit that.
Yeah. Well, one good one I know of is just to exploit Ridley's pattern is because there's actually a bit of a safe spot if he's facing left and bouncing on his tail.
Yeah, so that's...
And one of the ways that you'll see runners do to kind of, if he's facing right, is that after whirling under him, they'll immediately jump up, do a spin jump, and immediately break it. Because normally, if you do a spin jump, Ridley will kind of idle to kind of wait till, because he's assuming you're screw attacking. But if you immediately break spin, he'll immediately go right back to bouncing, but not he'll be facing the left.
And I think that's what most runners try to do. It's what I try to do. As we see a nice blue, I think that's good blue bomber from Polar Bear Bunny to get out of the Ridley area without needing to use a bomb, but is trying to keep Ridley in that pogo pattern, and then when he's facing right, like you said, go under, and then there's a certain positioning on the left side there where he'll just continue to pogo for a short time and not grab you and bring you up. So that's where you want to try to get him, I think, in most cases.
Actually, I think that was actually a mock ball, a speed booster.
Yeah, speed. Oh, and there's Asher's Fire Rod. Okay. So that puts us a lot closer to go mode. That means we're now just missing Mitts for sure, and then possibly Quake or Boots on the top side.
Along with Barrios.
Along with the Vari suit, yes. Thank you.
Alright, the tail had just a piece of a heart.
Yeah, Mitz, Boots, Varia, and maybe Quake. P2 just mirror, so I mean we're really not all that far. 2 hours into Go mode, it's just a question of where these last handful of items.
Alright, Polar Bear has made it past the Three Musketeers, while their counterpart Hitaka is making through the amphitheater.
And Aussie getting their powder, so that does open up another location.
The magic pack, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the magic bat location. So with the hammer and the powder, you can check magic bat. Also accessible through the dark world with the mirror, but of course needing the powder for it. And a nice bomb jump by Aussie to get across there. That's not something I've seen before. Ajder opting to do some hell running, because of course we don't know where that player 1 Varia is yet. More than enough health to get through and see what is here, as well as check the cathedral location, which is just a bomb capacity upgrade.
Oh, Aussie found that key from the top of the tower. Was it? Do we know what's in the bottom in the tower basement? Was it
I don't recall. Ajder finished Hera, but I don't recall if he checked the basement or what it was.
Well, it looks like Aussie's checking down there, so it's probably
Yeah.
not a compass or a map then.
Yeah. And Ajder so far not finding anything of value with his out of logic hell running. But of course is very impressive to watch. Meanwhile, we've got another Ridley fight on Hitaka's end. It looks like he's done or close to done. Ridley's got that nice reddish hue, and yes, he is done. So nice work, Hitaka.
Really just wanted to troll first by, like, not actually grabbing first.
Right? Yeah, Ridley can be funny like that. You'll have him down in hit points, but sometimes he'll just not want to grab you very cleanly. It's especially impressive when you can see somebody do like a spring ball right up into his grasp and finish it that way.
Oh yeah, like he could be puggo, like really could be puggoing, and they just spring ball. Oop, and we're done.
Yep, he's one of the few bosses that will continue to fight past their death.
One thing I remember one time, I heard it was really. I was told it was really. It's really difficult to do, so you don't see it often. But there's actually certain spots where if Ridley grabs you, you'll just die right there, instead of like lifting you into the center of the screen.
Yeah, I have not gotten to the point where I can count my shots on Ridley. I typically go for the I'm just going to continue shooting until I'm either out of ammo or he dies.
I'm kind of in between because I will shoot him until oh, he's lunging at me. He must be trying to grab me.
Yeah. I find it incredibly impressive, those that can keep track of their shots, and I've said it a couple times already, but blink and you miss it, and Polar Bear Bunny has fan-tuned down for her third Metroid boss.
Oh. As you're getting really close there.
Did get really close. We might see a crystal flash. I think that at this point that might be required, and there's a shovel there. Okay, so that's interesting. Out of logic, we'll probably see a crystal flash on Ajder's side pretty soon. He doesn't have enough health to get out, so here we are seeing that, which is going to cost one. Oh, actually just resetting. Okay. So giving up that shovel. Be interesting to see if Ajda goes back for it, or if Aussie gets it later. If it turns out to be anything needed.
Oh, I missed the crystal flash according to professional renderer.
Oh, did he miss it? Okay. But not going back for it.
Looks like, I think Azure's gonna go farm up. Or not. Maybe going for Crocmire?
Yeah, this could be a croc play. Or
there's
he's
the
going to
energy
the refill station. Yeah, it looks like he's going into energy refill.
Oh, croc play.
So 2 hours in. Is it too early to pick a leader at this point, you think, on either side?
Oh, that's kind of... let me see here. I mean, on one hand, you kind of feel like the left side has a little bit of a slight lead. But on the other hand, that doesn't really count. But that's just looking at like boss kills. It doesn't really track of like item collections and tracking.
Right. Yeah, I think it's hard to call. I mean, they're pretty even. On both sides, we've got 3 of the 4 Metroid bosses down, even though it's we're still missing Ridley on the top side and Dragon on the bottom side.
It really still really comes down to when those final go-go items are found.
For sure, and Hitaka still has to, at some point, climb and do Aga 1. He needs to, unless he plans on doing a suitless Meridia, which, you know, wouldn't be out of the question. It's certainly something he can do.
Yep, it definitely has the tools for it, with the high jump, grapple, and ice.
Spring Ball. I believe he has Spring Ball. So he's got the tools to do a suitless Meridia. It's just a question of whether or not he thinks that would be faster or slower than going up Aga Tower and getting that gravity suit. I think that comes down to the player, Seru. I know for me, suitless Meridia is one of the things that I still know I can't do. So it would be a Aga 1 for sure for me.
I think that I feel like Aga ones would Aga would be quicker, because I mean we do have the Meridia portal as a bit of a shortcut, so that way you don't have to go for the front of Meridia.
Right, yeah, it's definitely quicker knowing that you can go from the backdoor side. And, you know, thinking about it, having space jump, there's really not that much underwater that you have to worry about.
Well, the space jump wouldn't work underwater. On the other hand, spaceship does mean they can just fly across the Coliseum.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. So they've got, and I'm pretty sure they can do the short charges to get out of Dragon's Lair.
Yeah, they don't have gravity for the speed boost.
Oh, you're right.
So in order to get out of Dragon's Lair, they'll either have to do the grapple
climb thing. Yeah.
And that's like, it can get really wonky, I believe.
Yeah, certainly a trick I don't know how to do, so probably Aga 1 makes the most sense. Ooh, and we get a Titan's Mitch from Hitaka to Asi in Desert Palace. Interesting.
Okay, so boots is... Okay, oh wait, that's the bottom. Okay, Hitaka. So the bottom player did need boots, but they already have that.
And Asi making quick work of Blind, who, if you've learned it, there is a script for Blind. So if you can stay on that, it's pretty predictable, his movements, and you can make short work of that fight. So Asi now picking up their, what was that, second crystal? because he's done 2 pendant dungeons.
It kind of puts Asher in the lead for P1 just because he's done 3 crystal dungeons instead of 2 crystal pendant dungeons.
Yeah, and Oster opting to go for the lower Norfair Hell Run, which perfectly capable of doing. Has enough ammo, can do a crystal flash if necessary, has enough ammo, plus with the charge beam can do GT. So it'll be interesting to see if he finds anything of value.
Yeah, I mentioned Asher coming out. I'm gonna do a crystal flash flip. Oh, there's the flip.
Oh, okay, so there's the player 1 flute.
Oh, and they messed up. Oh, he wanted to use the reserve tank, maybe?
Yeah, so in order
Oh, yeah,
to
you
do a
need an
crystal
empty reserve
flash,
tank.
yep, in order to do a crystal flash, you have to have empty reserves and 50 or less health. You set a power bomb, and then without moving left or right, I think you hold L, R, and the shoot button, if I'm correct.
I think so.
And then that will cost you 10 missiles, 10 super missiles, 11 power bombs, because it requires 1 power bomb plus the 10 needed to do, but it will refill your health and your reserve tanks. So Oster is well set up to finish this portion of the Hell Run. And then once, of course, you get through GT, and he makes quick work of him by getting into that magical spot where he will not hurt you. There's the energy refill in between here and the portal back to Zelda. We're seeing what that magic bat has on Aussie's side, which is just 300 rupees. And this takes you to the Dark World Mire area on Oster's side. So we'll get to see. So that is Quake required, which is the one medallion they don't have. Okay, so as far as Go Mode's concerned, that Quake medallion will be required. I don't believe we have seen it yet.
Asher, we can use the mirror glitch.
Yep. Yeah, so fun thing with the mirror is when you're in a cave that you won't go back to the start of, and there's blocks that you can move, then the mirror will make them disappear. So it's a nice trick. Comes in handy, especially if you find it earlier for things like doing the dam. You know, you can move those blocks. Obviously, checkerboard cave. So definitely a fun trick. And I will never forget the time that I forgot that it had to be in a cave and not a dungeon, and I was deep into Swamp Palace and tried to do that and went back to the start.
But Asher stole the key from one half of the Desert Palace dungeon to apparently use in the front half of the dungeon.
Interesting. And did we see anything of value come out of that purple chest on Aussie's side?
I think it was money.
Just money?
I'm not sure. I could be missed it for something else.
I missed that, but there's a lot going on. So Hitaka's finally making his Aga 1 climb. So he'll be able to go and get his gravity suit. Polar Bear Bunny getting that final key for Skullwood's going to take out Mothula, which is the, I think, most rudely created boss in the history of all gaming.
Which boss? Oh,
Mothula, yeah. To have a moth who is on a treadmill with spikes and Polar Bear Bunny making it look simple. I think I've heard it said before on comms, but whoever was creating this boss was just having a bad day when they came up with that design.
Maybe they were playing too much Bullet Hell.
Maybe. But Polar Bear Bunny, that was probably one of the cleanest Mothula fights I think I've ever seen.
Your bug net is too small, Joss. Get a bigger bug net.
I've heard tale of, but never seen anybody use the bug net on Aga 1. I know it can work, but I've never seen anybody in a situation where they've had to use it there. And one thing I think we've, or at least I've neglected to notice or mention, is both of our top players only have a fighter sword. So part of their go mode will be finding at least one more sword to be able to take on Ganon.
All right, isn't it that you need at least a master sword to even
Yeah.
earn them?
You
And
need a
even-
master sword.
And even with the master sword, you have to use. You're stuck having to use the spin attack.
Yep. So when it comes to Ganon, with the tempered or gold sword, it's easy. You can slash him; he'll turn to silver, or whatever the blue thing is. So you can hit him with the silver arrows, which all of our runners have. But if you have only the master sword, you have to spin attack him, and that is just a lot of time. So I don't know the exact count. If there's somebody in chat who knows the count, but I think it's something in the neighborhood of like 20 or 24 spin attacks with the Master Sword to beat Ganon.
Sounds a lot, but I don't. It doesn't feel excessive.
So Josh saying 52, 24 on phase 4. So it's particularly tricky. Hopefully we won't have to see our runners do that, but if we do, then we do. But not only do you have to spin attack Ganon, but you also have to dodge his Firebird flame he throws at you before doing so. And I think you have to do it with a fairly precise timing as he's transitioning to his like phase or whatever you call it to move around. So it's these runners are fully capable of doing it. It's nothing that would prevent them from finishing the game. I've only been able to do it twice in my life, so it's not the, at least for me, easiest thing to do.
Oh, and Polar Bear finally finds the Quake medal.
There we go. Okay, so we found another piece of the required puzzle.
Asher's gonna have to do another Crystal Flash. So we're gonna go and face off against Ridley.
Yep, everybody has silvers. So that part will be easy. So when you get to phase, the final phase of Ganon, you can still spin slash him with the Master Sword to turn him blue to hit him with the silver arrow, but it's the earlier stages that are a bit trickier. And Azur's got to be careful. Unfortunately, Azur taking a death there on the spikes. I did not see the last time he saved to know what that might have cost him.
He's all the way back at the ship.
Still has Quake, thankfully, from PvP, so that was something we talked about earlier with the way the system works is you'll still have items from your partner. And chat telling us that the last save was from the cross-game portal, so I'm assuming
right,
that was in the Mire area.
When he was going in to check into the Mire area.
And seeing some nice spring ball strats. See, that's where spring ball is really cool to watch. I don't know how to do that, but watching it is exciting.
It looks like Azur's deciding that rather than going trying for Ridley again, they're just going to go and activate that flute.
Which is a good idea. That'll definitely help. It is, I believe, at this point out of logic having that flute, but certainly will make his movement around Hyrule a lot easier.
Now, if Polar Bear Bonnie can just find Azur's mitts, that would probably make returning to Lower Norfair a lot easier for Azur.
For sure. And where were those mitts again? I don't remember.
It was one of Hitaka's dungeons, if I remember correctly. P2 Desert.
Okay.
I think it was where the compass is.
That's right, it was Right Side Desert. And again, salute for the Hyrule National Anthem. Just DLG 101 joining us in chat for that. And down goes the shrimp on Hitaka's side, so that's now 4 bosses done, which means Hitaka has a choice to make. Either continue searching whatever checks he has left to find the required items for himself and Aussie. He could also go and finish Mother Brain at this point if he wanted to. Finding Aussie's armor upgrade. Which does seem to be the red mail. So again, it's a little bit early to call.
Oh, there's Daria.
Oh, on...
That's after bot one.
Wow, okay.
So
Interesting.
did Hitaka take the back? Take the did we just miss Hitaka picking it up, or did they take the Meridia for it?
I missed it, but it must. Either way, it seems like he's going to find it now.
Okay, yeah, but Hitaka just sees it now. So Hitaka must have taken the
backdoor portal for Dragon. All right.
Yeah,
so...
I'm looking at Hitaka's map. You can see that he didn't enter. He came from Bosmo's area.
So that's interesting. So now on our top player side, all we're missing is Fire Rod, which we know where it is for Ashdar. Aussie has it, which was at... Where was Fire Rod again for our player ones? Was it Firefleas? On player 2? Firefleas on player 2? Okay. So...
And then they just need, potentially the boots, I believe. The boots is a maybe.
Right. So Ashdar will more than likely find his Fire Rod when he does Ridley, which he can now obviously do. And then it's just our player 2 mirror, I think, is the last thing that we're really searching for, other than a sword for our player 1s. Hitaka getting a nice green gate glitch there.
So interestingly, Azure's doing pod, despite it being appended, while Ase is doing the green ice palace. Let's see. Okay, looks like they're going for the icebreaker now.
Did he go back and re-hit the switch?
Well, yeah, he went and hit the switch.
He did? Okay. So the way Icebreaker works is there's a certain frame that you put yourself into when you're moving like left or right out of the doorway. And by laying the block, it somehow, I don't know the mechanics behind it, but it allows you to move through the wall. So if you're new to SMZ3 or Link to the Past in general want to learn it, there's plenty of guides out there that'll show you how to do it, but it definitely is a huge time saver for this particular dungeon. Just like not Holy. You know, every time I think of Diver Down, I think of Holy Diver from Dio.
Jeez.
Yeah, maybe dating myself. But I always want to call it Holy Diver Down. But definite time saves for these two particular dungeons. Hitaka picking up Asi's Quake, so he now has that piece of the puzzle. And really, the biggest mystery, I think, is just where are those final swords for our player ones?
we still have a lot more dungeons we haven't visited, so it's probably going to be one of those places.
Yep, could definitely pick one up along the way, or two, or three. There's always the chance that there's a couple in GT, Ganon's Tower.
Or Bear Brothers want to do Shark Tour.
Now, who did we see do Shack 2 earlier?
I
Hataka
think it was
did, right?
I thought it was Asher. Was it? I forget.
I want to... I don't know.
I
Does
want to say it
anybody
was
in chat
Asher.
remember? Aussie making quick work of Cold Stare with that hammer. So again, the hammer does tempered sword damage, so only having a fighter sword really wouldn't be able to do anything. The fire rod would work, of course, but the hammer definitely helping finish out that fight.
Oh, we're about to get double Shack Tool.
And did I miss something? Somewhere along the line, Astra must have gotten their fire rod because it's equipped. So
And bottom Shack Tour is just a red ruby.
So while Polar Bear Bunny with the Tempered Sword made quick work of Mothula, doing it with a fighter sword, not fun.
I'll be honest, it's not fun doing it with the hammer either.
No, for sure.
Because that short range, you really feel it.
Yeah, but Astra making it look simple finishes off Mothula for his, let's see, third green pendant. So we'll get to see if there's anything on Sahasrahla that he has to return for that.
Actually, I mean he has access to the pedestals now.
He does have access to the pedestal, and we're going to see in just a moment whether or not there's anything important on it.
Apparently he didn't read the book earlier. Big bada boom.
Nope. You know, I was kind of hoping for the blind pull too. I mean, you have the pendants, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you'll save a few minutes, but come on, it's just fun. Next time, Professor Render, we can trade sides, because you're probably better at comms, and I'm not great at tracking, but I do find it fun. So we did get the blind ped pull, but we're now going to see what was on that green pendant. And we have super missiles for PBB. And I think we just got our first look on Aussie's side that the Ether Medallion is what was required for Total Rock. And he has everything he needs to finish the dungeon. So we'll get to see whether or not he go modes it, or if he's still trying to look for some items. Maybe we'll see what's on Laser Bridge.
Turtle Rock is Ether required.
Yeah, which we've had since pretty early on. Azra finally getting his Titan's Mitts. So that's pretty much go mode, isn't it?
Potentially, barring sword and boots.
Yeah, barring the sword and the boots, which, of course, we could find on the way, but...
Now I'm wondering if Asher is going to, like, since he's already up on Death Mountain, is going to, like, well, I might as well go ahead and do Turtle Rock.
I mean, I hope for their sake there's a sword in here, because I gotta tell you, doing Trinex with a fighter sword is not fun.
I remember trying it was like a...
Or a hammer.
I remember, I can't remember, I remember just trying it was just a Master Sword. Or maybe it was just, or the Tempter Sword, and I was having a really hard time just because it took so many more hits to kill the heads.
Yeah. And just some super missiles and spike cave on the player 1 side, so nothing doing there. Yeah, I mean, luckily he's got half magic, which it looks like Ozdur does not, so that makes it a little bit more palatable if you've got to do some extra ice rod and fire rod shots. But it certainly does take a lot of hits, and switching back and forth from ice or fire rod to hammer, not one of the most fun activities in the world.
Okay, it looks like as you decided to go back to try Ridley again.
Yep.
Whereas I'll say is doing Triple Rock.
And of course now having the Various suit will be easy to take care of.
Polar Bear Bunny had taken real quick work of the boss of Desert Palace with that fire run.
Yeah, which is really nice. I don't quite have the timing down to do the silver strat on that, where it's just one silver arrow will kill him. But on the Lamelas, 2 fire rod shots to each head will do them off. Hitaka looks like he's going to do the waterway check. I don't remember if Polar Bear Bunny did that. Was there anything of value there?
I remember one of them did it, and it was just some money, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was Polar Bear or Asher. It was probably Asher that did it.
Well, Hitaka resetting out, so probably nothing important on the player 2 side. And for chat saying needing boots for a DP, that's for the player 1 side, right? Was the big key or small key on the torch for player 1s?
I believe that's what's been said. That something was on the big torch.
Both sides were deep boots locked? Okay. So then, yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to need those boots. Very nice iframing from Ozdur to get down that elevator site very quickly. I've actually never seen the double before.
My understanding is the second one, it doesn't save as much time, so people are less likely to do it. But personally, I don't ever try the cargo between those platforms, just because the only time I can pull off the cargo is when the platform's already moving up. At which point, if it's moving up, then that doesn't help me.
Yeah, I can only do the first elevator, where I just jump and turn into a ball, and then it lets me go through. I don't know how it works. I just saw it done once and was able to do it. Meanwhile,
my understanding is that basically the platforms are basically considered as an enemy, and since if you're in certain frames of like transitioning to a morph ball, you're immune to like knockback, so you can go right through it.
Well, that's good to know. And of course, while we're talking, we saw Aussie pick up Hitaka's powder. So now that does open up another check for one of those last key items that we're looking for. And we now get to the infamous laser bridge, where we do find another sword. Okay. So, player 1s do now have the swords required to finish the game. This final chest must have a key in it. And then Aussie will be on to Trinex. With, thankfully, a Master Sword and not a Fighter Sword. So I'll be interested to see if he does just slashes or switches to the hammer.
Although I wonder. Well, yeah, it does have half mana, so that should be enough magic for Ase to kill the two smaller heads.
Should be, and I don't think either of our, any of our runners have filled their bottles with anything. Although it looked like something was in one of Asi's. He does have a blue potion, so he's good.
Yeah.
Going for those hammer strats. And one of the nice thing is the fire rod actually does damage to the ice head.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have the magic for it, if you are low on swords, then that is an option. Honestly, going to go for the double hit at the start. Looks like you got one of them. And makes nice work of Trinex. So Asi now down to his final 2 crystals needed.
Hitaka got their mirror.
Oh, he did. Where was that?
Mirror was on Smith, according to Tony.
It was on Smith? Oh, wow. Okay. So at some point, PBB is going to have to make their way to the Smith chain. Which, on their end, I think has been available for quite some time, right?
Yeah, because you just need the mitts.
Yep. You need Dark World access and mitts. The hammer makes it easier. I'm sorry, the mirror, if you had it, needs it easier. Of course, knowing that that's on Smith doesn't quite help, but it'd be interesting to see when she makes her way over there. Meanwhile, in the tail ends of Misery Mire, we'll be able to make very short work of Vitreous with those silver arrows.
Yeah, those cycles just go down so quick and easy.
With the silver arrows.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing you really have to watch out for is like the lightning.
Yeah, which if you're quick enough on Vitreous, you can get through that whole fight without him firing off any lightning at all, but thankfully it's a lot narrower than Aga's lightning. And as we see, PBB gets through with no lightning, 2 shots to Vitreous, and they are down. So that is a pendant dungeon. PBB just needing Swamp Palace and Tower of Hera, so really in order for Polar Bear Bunny to finish the game, she just needs to do the Smith chain. Giving that mirror will let her do Swamp Palace. Of course, she could already do Tower of Hera, which she may be doing now by going the backwards direction from the east side. Or I'm not quite sure what she's doing.
Probably a Tower of Hera.
Maybe a Spike Cave check? I don't know if she's done that yet.
She doesn't have the mirror for that.
Yeah, no, if she wants to do Hera, she has to go in from the east side, so this is definitely a Spike Cave check, as we see her going in there. And Professor Renderer in chat saying it's go mode for Hitaka, so we're really just looking for Asi's go mode. Asi now getting their flute, which at this point we know is not really going to have too much of an impact. But that's the fun part of multi-world, is even if one person's in go mode, you're not truly in go mode until your partner is. Hitaka could certainly go finish off Ganon and Mother Brain, but won't find any progression items for Asi if they happen to be in his side of the game. So I think the last thing we're still in the search for is those player 1 boots, right?
Yep. Ooh, also get some nice timing of the screw attack. Right before they do Lower Warfare. Although it
Yeah.
looks like they're going to do a Mystery Meyer check.
Yeah, so we've got the checkerboard, the Meyer shed, and of course Meyer itself, which is a required crystal, so we could finish that. Most likely will. So Ossie's seeing that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just as you were saying, Ozzy saw that eating. It's like, yep, I have enough.
Yep.
No more. No more.
Ossie saying no thank you. I think Astra grabbed it, but Ossie is noping out.
There comes a point when you have too much of a good thing.
There is. In yesterday's weekly race, I literally ended up with every single E-tank and reserve tank, and it was just annoying. You know, there's definitely a point where you want to stop. Alright, now we've got Polar Bear Bunny entering into Turtle Rock, as Hitaka is entering into Swamp Palace. So, interesting to see, of course, going into those pendant dungeons, knowing it's not required. I should say knowing PED's not required, but of course there could be items in here that are. And that's one of the fun things about both Rando and Multiworld. Player 1's Pegasus boots may very well be in a pendant Turtle Rock. Astra taking advantage of Bombos to open up Cold Stare, so one shot from Bombos will open up Cold Stare's shell, whereas I think it takes somewhere in the neighborhood of like, 6, 7, 8 shots of the Fire Rod?
At this point, do you feel like Ozzy and
Yeah, I would agree at this point, just looking at the layouts, even though both of our player 1s are still missing Go mode, I would certainly say that there's a lead on Aussie and Hataka's side.
Because especially since Ozzy has only two, like, this has only 2 legends.
Yeah.
He's already working on one of them.
Right. Which he has everything needed to clear.
Yeah, and he's only missing boots. So, well, Hitaka's already a go.
Yeah, Hataka is. It's really going to come down to who gets those boots first. Azra, of course, has everything he needs to finish Meyer and Turtle Rock. It just needs to get there and do it. You know, if he can do that before either of them find their boots, then, you know, it's still anybody's game at this point. What really amazes me is that even in a solo run, you know, to finish a seed in 2.5 to 3 hours is impressive. We're in Go mode at 2 hours, not in Go mode, but, you know, we know it's needed pretty quickly. It,
Like,
you know,
I mean, it seems like my impression of when it comes to this particular randomizer, it generally comes down to like almost Go mode relatively quickly. It's always where that last final item is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're lucky, you'll get it like 2-3 hours in. If you're not lucky, it's going to be the last, like, you'll find it as one of your near last check.
Yeah.
Of all the items in the game. And it'll probably be like one you thought, probably one of those checks you're like, no, it probably doesn't have anything, and you just skip it.
Right. Like, one thing I think it skipped often is the front of Hyrule Castle. It's just one of those things that you'll, you know, sometimes check Uncle, you get busy with other stuff, you get some progression that leads you in one direction or another, and sometimes you just don't make your way back there.
Oh, jeez, that reminds me of one time I did Keep This Sanity, which can be fun, but also hurt your brain.
because it did. I was having it at first. It started off as a jet seed until I could not find this one item that was in the front of the castle tower. And the only reason why I didn't forget I checked the castle tower is that because I forgot that the castle tower can now have items in it in a key sanity.
Right.
If I had remembered that, it would have been jet seed all the way through.
For sure. Yeah, I've played a couple key sanities just for fun. They're definitely make your way of thinking change a little bit. Because instead of, for example, Meyer only having 2 possible items, like it does in this version in Key Sanity, there could be a lot more.
I do believe Polar Bear Bunny did. Or at least, very least
I don't think Polar Bear Bunny has done Dragon yet.
it's hard to say, because they were in the area, but...
Part of me wants to say that she did because Ashter has his various suit and it was right there. And of course we're getting the Cudpaw.
And again, all I can really remember is Polar Bear Bunny grabbing the Vari suit after killing the Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't know if she went all the way to Dragon or not.
Budnet was behind Dragon, Tony, but I don't remember if that was for player 1 or player 2.
Aussie using some microwaving on the Space Pirates pre-Ridley. Which, for anybody who's, again, either new to Metroid or SMZ3, if you have the charge beam, the plasma beam, and the X-ray scope, you can shoot a charge beam and then hit the X-ray button to turn it on and off really quickly, and it will repeatedly do damage, so it makes certain fights a lot easier. I remember one of our players, I think, used it. I think it was Hitaka, used the microwave on Fantoon too.
Yeah, that was correct. That is correct. It was either Hitaka or Aussie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Hitaka. Now we've got Polar Bear Bunny about to wrap up Trine X here, while Aussie is done with Ridley. Definitely want to send my shout-outs to Polar Bear Bunny's sprite choice of Celis, possibly one of the coolest characters in any game ever.
One thing I think it's quite remarkable, which is how many custom characters have been made for Zelda.
Yeah, it really is fun. So one of the fun things I do is whenever I'm doing one of these weekly races, I'm trying to introduce my daughter, Chloe, who is 5, into these, not just this game, but the games in general. So I always let her choose my sprite for Zelda.
I actually looked into commissioning my own, but it's like, because there's both, I looked into both for Super Metroid and Zelda, but because of the sheer number of frames in Super Metroid, that'll probably take a long time and a lot of...
Yeah.
Justifiably, I would have to pay whoever artist a lot of money.
Yeah. And just to answer...
Sorry, go ahead. So many frames that that Samus has in Super Metroid.
Yeah, I've played with all of the ones in Super Metroid. I like Dark Samus just for the color palette. I think that's really cool. Alice Megatroid, I just find I can't play it because just the way that it looks, I can't even walk around. Justin Bailey's fun. You've got the Contra one.
I still think the Sprite Can is silly and fun.
Which one?
The Sprite Can.
Yeah. I will say my preferred Zelda sprite is Shadow from Final Fantasy VI, as that is probably my favorite video game of all time. So if I have a choice, I play Shadow. Ooh. Blue Cane, not necessary, but good quality of life item there. Aussie found for Hitaka. Just after he could have used it.
The great color scheme for Super Metroid and Link to the Past. That shouldn't be too hard, because, I mean, you can just take the existing asset and just change the colors to it.
See, nothing doing on Catfish for Polar Bear Bunny. Don't remember if we saw that from Hitaka or not.
Oh, there's our single arrow.
Yep, we found the Aerial of Destiny, so Osdrum PBB's race is at least half validated, because I don't know if we saw Polar Bear Bunny find a single arrow.
I think we saw the single ruby.
We did see a Gary at some point. And it looks like Polar Bear Bunny's going to do her magic bat check. Hopefully this leads her in the direction of also following up with the Smith chain, which is where that mirror was, correct?
I believe that was correct, yes. Oh, 2 single rupees and Link to the Past. According to Joss.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 single rupees, 1 single arrow. Oster getting his Master Sword. So probably happy to see that. Now we know everybody, at least sword-wise, can finish the game. And we are down to Polar Bear Bunny finding her mirror, which we know is in the Smith chain, and yet we are still unaware of where our Player 1 boots are, which are required.
Yes, as your check ring pinned. Apparently it was junked, according to Joss. Oh, also he's not activating his flute.
Alright. For the 4th time tonight, stand and salute, the Hylian national anthem. So in your opinion, is that a goose or a duck?
I always thought it was like a duck.
That's what I always thought, but everybody says loose the goose. Oster making nice use of the hammer. Unstuck the duck, I like that. Release the quacking, that's even better.
That makes me that reminds me of how you can piss off the chickens, the cuckoos, if you use attack. If you attack them too many times. Right? Oh,
There we go. Polar Bear Bunny getting her mirror, so she is now officially in go mode. And now we are just all wondering, where are those Player 1 boots? Though it seems we will get our first look at the Player 1 Pyramid Fairy soon on Aussie's side, so who knows, could be there.
Okay, so we have Pyramid Fairy, or it could be somewhere on the P2's, Player 2 side. At this point, it feels like.
One thing's for sure, we will soon find out. There they are! Left side Pyramid Fairy boots. So we are officially now in go mode for, what was Aussie and Hitaka's team name?
I don't think I've seen it.
It's Shack Tools Digging Game. Is the combination of Aussie and Hitaka, and then Ojder and Polar Bear Bunny make up the Team Bear Pair. So at some point, I was just going to have to check that Pyramid Ferry. But as of right now, we are officially in Shack Tools Digging Gang Go mode. At 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 45-ish seconds.
And then for that bit, let's see, Tower of Hera and Turtle Rock was needed for that big bomb there.
Was it? Okay.
That's what's required for So Azure could go get their boots now. But they might as well finish up Misery Mire since they're there. That's another crystal.
Yeah, I mean, that is the good news on their side, is he's at least still doing progression. Does not yet know where the boots are, but at least he's not spending time somewhere that, isn't working towards the end game. However, we have Hitaka, who is currently entering Ganon's tower, so I'm a little bit late to the game. I don't know if we're going to do it, but there are 22 chests in Ganon's tower, any one of which could have the big key. Throw your guesses in the chat if you'd like to. For the player 2 side of where that big key might be. Since we were late to announce it, we'll give you until he enters the first room. Alright, so guesses are officially cut off. We've got 22, 5, couple 5s, 11, 13, 12. So there's 2 chests down. Gonna skip the tile room.
I hate the tile, bro.
I do too. I think everybody does.
It's like, here. Hope you like dodging.
Right? If you have the cape, it makes it a lot more palatable. Aussie now done with the Lamellars in Desert Palace, so can make his way up to Ganon's tower now. As we get check number 3, 4, 5, and 6. And gonna nope out there. Go to the left side. As Aussie is making his way up to Death Mountain. Yep, same game on player 1 side. Thank you, Tony. So throw your guesses in the chat. And on P2, we're at a count of 6 so far. There's 7. 8's a heart. 9 supers. And is it just me, but I am just... Ooh, and another sword upgrade, okay. For the... Oh! Good timing for that sword upgrade.
That's going to be helpful.
So that's 10 so far. Check the fire snake room here. I think that's what it's called. So there's 11. So it looks like on the P2 set we've only got 3 more folks in contention here. Seru trying to be extra mean, calling it 22.
Which one is 22?
Probably the big chest. Alright, and guessing game for player 1 is currently off. Now that Ozzy has made his way in the door. So that's 12, I believe.
Well, 22 is tile room.
Depends on if that's the last one checked. Right?
Aussie is
Like
going to go start left side.
And I think you're right, yeah, because you can't obviously get into the big chest without the
Oh,
key.
there's
Okay,
the big key.
on Hitaka's side, so player 2 was chest. Ooh, and a gold sword. On P2 side, so that was chest what? 3? 2? Because he went straight left side. So Price is Right rules, I think that makes Tim and Steel G01, Steel G101 the winners on the P2 side of things. Congratulations, you've won a lifetime supply of SMZ3 seeds. You can find them at samus.link. And I must have missed it, so we found the big key on the player 2 side?
Yep.
I mean the player 1 side?
Oh, not the player 1 side, but player 2.
Gotcha, okay. And so right now, I mean, the biggest thing is, of course, Aussie and Hitaka clearly have a substantial lead at this point, and then the question just remains is when is Oster going to get to check the Pyramid Fairy?
Well, it looks like Polar Bear Bunny's going to beat Azure to it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's not going to be anything there. Well, at least nothing we know we need anyway.
True. It could be something helpful, but not helpful for finishing the race.
Could be. Yeah, it's not that last necessary go mode item. And also, in a blink, all of a sudden we went from a tempered sword and a master sword to a gold sword and a bacon sword on the player 1 and 2 side, so that won't be an issue for the Ganon fight, at least. Now we're seeing...
Unfortunately for Azure, he's likely going to do the purple chest next instead of the Pyramid Fairy. And also he finds their big key. It's
there we
past
go.
The Armor Knights.
I lost count, but it's probably somewhere in their high teens, so I think for...
Therio says 12 is the winner. For player 1, and 12 is the winner.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Same prize.
That was a Regret Bear picked 12 for player 2, I believe. For player 1, he picked 9. So I believe for player 1's big key count, I think
it was definitely higher than 12. I thought it was around the 16, 17-ish range. I lost count, though, from one room to another. And it looks like Hitaka now entering the final room before Aga 2. I think he got 2 there. Two, 1. Another couple. So should just have 2 more hits left to finish him off.
I always think it's impressive when they get these multi-hits on Agron too.
Yeah. And just like that, Aga 2 is done. So Hitaka will shortly be making his way back to the pyramid to face the big pig.
Speaking of the big pig, Do you have a preference between fighting Ganon first or Motherbrain first?
I always do Ganon first. The flow of it to me works out better. I do like, if you're in a seed and you're just kind of stuck on what to do, but you've got G4 cleared, so you've got the 4 main bosses of Metroid, doing Mother Brain makes a lot of sense just to try to gather your thoughts and maybe think of something that you might have missed or what you want to do next. But assuming I have everything I need done, then I'm always doing Ganon first. How about yourself?
I feel like the natural flow kind of makes me do Ganon first because it's like since you're always finished with Zelda last,
Yeah.
and admittedly, as you were saying, you end up be able to go your Go mode and Super Metroid side a lot sooner. But one time I actually did do this. I think it was on my sec. But one of the things I kind of don't want to do Ganon second is that then you have the long Zelda ending,
Mm-hmm.
and if you want to get down to the time all the times in the credits or the timing and your time, then you have to wait through the whole Zelda ending.
Yeah. And I just like the Super Metroid ending better either way. But Astra does now have his boots, so we are officially in Go mode for Bear Pair.
Apparently, we now can hear his. Oh my God! It's in the pyramids. I don't know Azure enough to say to hear it, but apparently it's something he would say.
And as we were just talking about, I think Aussie just got an impressive 3-shot into Aga 2.
Oh, nice! Another 2-shot.
2 shots, so that puts him at 5, so just one more ought to do it.
There we go.
And just like that, you've got Aussie with Aga 2 down. Now, what is Hitaka doing?
I mean, he should be able to just go straight to just like do a reset and go to Mother Brain.
Yeah. So he's already beaten Ganon, right? Did I miss something?
According to Tony, they think Hitaka's grabbing high jump boots, which is on top
Okay.
of that, which is on top of Bumper Cave, I believe it's called.
Bumper Ledge, yeah. So for Bumper Ledge, you need to have the Magic Cape. So very nice thing to do for Hitaka. I'm not entirely sure if that's required. So that'll definitely be a...
High jump boots are not ever required.
Yeah, so it's just...
But it is a huge quality of life item.
Yeah, it definitely makes life a lot easier. Aussie being the quality player he is in Metroid, though, I'm sure would be just fine without them. So, it's not a huge time loss for Hitaka to go grab those first, but still an interesting choice.
Yeah, there's a few spots where, like, you might not. I mean, especially since most of the time, places where you might need high jump boots, Aussie has jump bombs to just give himself a boost with.
Yeah, and at this point, all he's got left is Torian. There's nothing high jump required there, so just a quality of life thing. I'm not sure if for the races it goes off of the combined time or the final to finish, so perhaps Hitaka knowing that he's going to finish sooner, the time loss doesn't really matter.
I think it's always the last to finish.
So
is my guess. So it really doesn't affect Hitaka to get some extra time to do that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then. I mean, he already knows he's got everything he needs done to get to Torian and finish Mother Brain, and knows where Aussie's at, so that makes sense. And by the way, we missed it, but single G's in the chat for both of Aussie and Hitaka for finishing off the Big Pig.
Is it G for Ganon?
The single G for Ganon.
No, it just makes me think of the Smash Bros. Series where the crowd starts chanting a particular player, character's name. I'm just trying to imagine that chant. Ganon, Ganon, Ganon.
We've got Ashdar now entering Ganon's tower. Polar Bear Bunny already there. So you know we got at least a couple more sword upgrades, one for each of them in here. And I love watching these runners go through Torian. It's just the speed at which they go through is so impressive. To be able to freeze and shoot the super missiles to kill the Metroids as quickly as they do.
Yeah, I mean, I can do this decently, and I got the last Metroid run down pretty kind of down as well because there's a rather specific setup that's rather easy to do for most players. But like the first one and some of the other ones, where you just see the players especially like run across the whole room and just like kill everything in their path, that's just truly amazing.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch. Aussie did a great job in the first one. I think he missed the last one just by a hair. Hitaka also trying the baby skip, almost gets it, just misses it by a little there at the end, which is an insanely hard trick to do.
Well, Aussie's about to have their family reunion with the baby Metroid.
So what you'll see runners do is if they know the baby skip and are confident in it, obviously they'll do that. Aussie damaging down just a little bit, although I know he knows how to do the baby skip. But sometimes you might see a runner take off the Varia suit and the gravity suit so they can just damage down a little bit quicker before the baby comes. And now it does look like we're getting a pretty successful baby skip so far from Aussie. He's just got a couple more hurdles to go through, and he does get it, so nice job, Aussie.
And for a moment there, it looks like he was going to get grabbed during that screen transition. That would have been, and that's which would have been really unfortunate because if you get grabbed during the screen transition, then you're stuck with the
slow speed, and you've got to go to the save spot and reset. Yeah, and while we were talking about that, Hitaka with a very smooth Zeb skip, also on Aussie's side.
Yeah, I went for the second Zeb skip, which is actually the easier to perform of the two.
Yeah, that's the only one I can do. I can't do the first one. The second one I can do most of the time.
For me, for some reason, I can only the first one. I can only perform it if I actually shoot the ring cut from the bottom and then jump my way up, or if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But
Same thing.
The main thing key I remember for that first Zeb skip is kind of remembering you kind of want to spin jump and then get and right in back into place.
And Hitaka taking an unfortunate death on Mother Brain.
Oh no!
Not sure exactly what he was going for. Aussie, in the meantime, setting up the stand-up glitch, so you have to have 7 tanks plus a hair of energy. And then quickly get up, and you'll see him damage down a little bit to just under 1 E-tank to do the stand-up glitch. So I'm not quite sure. I think Hitaka maybe just miscalculating the damage amount there.
I mean, the stand-up glitch can be a bit finicky. They also have to be very careful once they successfully perform it, not to bug out.
Yeah. So with the stand-up glitch, you have to have 70 tanks plus a little bit for the first beam shot. Then as soon as and you have to be in the air, and then you'll run at Mother Brain, damage down a little bit to less than 1 E-tank. And then when you hear a scream, you know you're in good shape. And you have to be in the air. And then the last real thing to keep in mind for that is usually between like the second and third shot, she'll make a weird sound that can soft lock you or have you sit on the ground. X-ray scope can get you out of that, but
The big thing you have to watch out for is making sure A, the baby Metroid doesn't get stuck in the spot where the mother brain can't kill it.
Yeah.
And B, although I believe you can get out of this if you know how, be careful not to be charging your beam when you finally get hyper beam.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple spots in there that can soft lock you, or I think there's one spot, like you were just talking about, if you're shooting a beam when you're supposed to get the hyper beam, the game can kind of get a little odd, and you'll just...
If I remember correctly, you get like a hyper amount of lag.
Yeah, it gets like super laggy where you'll just see your character spinning there. Anytime you are practicing learning how to do the stand-up glitch, it's probably going to happen at least once, so you get to see how fun that is. Single G's in chat for Polar Bear Bunny getting Aga 2, but I'm a little premature, sorry. Not Ganon. But taking down Aga 2 pretty easily, so she'll be working her way to Ganon here shortly.
I suppose it'll be an A for Aga, too.
A. And just like that, Aussie is moments away from finishing the game. Does he or does he not save the animals?
Okay, that random quote that Ganon says acts like sounds like a tilted lover or something.
He's going back for him. Aussie, knowing that Hitaka has a little bit more time left to come out of the brain, is going to go save the animals.
Doesn't it have a random surprise in the multi-world? Well,
I don't know if it's different in multi-world, but there's a different animation when you finish the game, whether you do or don't save the animals. So, as the planet is blowing up, you'll see a little...
No, I think it was in the multi... I thought it was the multi-world of SMZ3. It will have an animal surprise. I guess... Because in certain randomizers, if you go to save the animals, instead you'll get something very random to happen. You could fight all the bosses again. You should be sent back to the beginning of the escape, or something else random happens.
I haven't heard that, so I don't know. I'll take your word for it.
I just remember, I think it was one of, I had a multi-world game. It was a very large multi-world game of SMZ3. I went to go to save the animals, and it sent me right back to the beginning of the escape.
Interesting. And GG's in the chat for Aussie. With an official racetime.gg of 3:16:16, and of course we'll wait for Hitaka's finish to get the team time. But GG's to Aussie.
And G's for Polar Bear Bunny.
Yep, G's for Polar Bear Bunny. Getting the big pig down. Ozdr, not far behind.
So I want to see a big wall of G's in the chat now.
Yeah, there should just be a bunch of G's. And Hitaka now successfully damaged down for the stand-up glitch.
Urban Bunny just now picking up that Terminator item.
And one thing that's always amazing about these races, especially now being in a multi-world, is the amount of time in between when one team finishes versus another is just always incredible to me. How, given how long the game is, you know, we're talking about a 3-hour to 4-hour long game, and yet very consistently we have runners that finish within sometimes seconds, if not minutes, of each other.
Yeah, that's what gets really impressive. It's like I'm still at like the 5-hour-ish mark, and I'm just like, how?
Props to all of our runners, especially those running tonight. But seeing some of the times that get posted is just incredible. You're basically fully completing 2 games, and to be able to do that in 3 hours, our runners, in either hard seeds or normal seeds, consistently doing it within 2 hours and 20 minutes to 2 hours and 40 minutes is super impressive. I'm yet to achieve that sub 3-hour barrier. That's kind of on my list of things I would like to hopefully happen soon. Hataka now making his final escape here. And hopefully we'll be able to get Aussie and Hataka in here for an interview shortly after.
Polar Bear Bunny had their family reunion. They're feeling a little bit drained from it. I think they're gonna have to go and get a recharge.
I think so.
Find an energy drink or something.
And by the way, as we near the conclusion of this, again, I just want to really thank Tony, Professor Renderer, for tracking insanely difficult thing to do. Double G's in chat for Hataka for officially finishing with an official race time of 3 hours, 20 seconds, and 17 seconds. But thank you to our trackers, Tony T. Young and Professor Renderer. Please give them a follow. Very much appreciate being your co-commentator.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a lot of fun.
A lot of kudos for both Tony and professional renderer. Tracking something this 4 players at once is going to be really difficult. I mean, just commenting on it is difficult enough, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's just so much to keep track of. And it looks like we are now joined by Aussie and Hataka, so GG's to you both. Awesome race, so much fun to watch. Thank you for joining us. We're now watching Polar Bear Bunny and Ajder in their final moments of the game, but GG's. What are your guys' thoughts on the seed?
Yep, thanks. GG's.
Yeah, thanks, GG. I hope you enjoyed me dying on Mother Brain like an idiot because I brain farted.
Yeah, we had a good race going, and he died.
It happens, right? We're all human. It's amazing how close you guys were throughout the whole thing, and then the final piece of the puzzle being those boots and pyramid. What was it? What was going through your head at that moment?
I guess I was thinking that they could have been anywhere. I had a couple bad checks left. So just,
yeah,
I was thinking
dungeons left.
Yeah, we were down to bad things. I was thinking about going back to Meyer speed checks.
Yeah. Gravity suit was fun. I tried to put off gravity, maybe like it would be skippable, but it got to the point where there was almost definitely something there, and it would be. I think it's at least time neutral, not faster, to do agate for the faster movement and also the speed checks.
Yeah,
considering a suitless Dragon.
Yeah, I had once I got like space and high jump and all that stuff. I could have done suitless Dragon pretty easily, but we were still missing enough items, and I was down on checks to just Meridian like some bad stuff. So I just figured I'd just get gravity and do Meridian.
Yeah, my way of thinking about it is that Hataka had better items earlier on, so he was ahead between us. So he would get the gravity to full clear Meridia, or without it, he'd be leaving things behind.
Yeah, since I was ahead, since I was ahead, like more checks was more important then. minor time optimizations.
Were there any moments or fights that you liked the most, or items that you hated? Like, I didn't like how this was so far out of the way, or anything like that?
Mirror on Smith, that's a fun one. Yeah, I didn't do Smith Chain when I had Mitts and Village before because I didn't have Mirror like doing Mirrorless Smith, so I put it off for a long time. And then, hey, guess where Mirror was?
For me, I was clearing up my pendant pod in Eastern, partially because I forgot I could do Swamp. So I just stayed away from the crystals a little longer than I would have liked.
Yeah, there were a lot of times that kind of came up in conversation in chat where it seemed like you guys were dipping into, and on both sides, pendant dungeons that didn't seem required. Any thoughts or reasons on why you guys cleared all the pendant dungeons, even after knowing that the pedestal was, kind of off the map?
Well, for me, going into the pendants, I didn't have much else I could do. But finishing it, I could have left early.
Yeah, I didn't really do any pendants until I had nothing else to do, so.
Yeah.
God, I might as well keep searching for items to see, because you don't want to be in that position where a pendant dungeon has that item promotion.
For sure.
And then you just like, oh, it's a pendant dungeon, I'm just gonna skip out on it because I hate pendants. And then you find out that Aria or Morph Ball's in that dungeon or whatever.
And with that said, GG's in chat for Polar Bear Bunny, finishing off Mother Brain and getting to the ship with the official racetime.gg time of 3 hours, 25 minutes, and 39 seconds. We've got Asher currently making his final escape, so he'll be done shortly as well. While he's doing that, any other thoughts on the seed? Aussie or Hitaka, anything that maybe you really liked about how it went, or something that maybe caught you off guard or surprised you?
So I was wondering about my Crystal Flash clip to Batoon, whether the other team were also gated out of Dark World or did the same thing.
I believe, let me see.
They had the speed booster a little bit before you, and I do want to commend you because I've never seen that done before. So to watch you do it was one of those mind-blowing experiences for me. I've seen the ice clip and everything, but never the crystal flash. So you are the only one to do that, and very impressive way to get through.
I believe Hitaka, you took the Meridian Portal, if I remember my players correctly.
Which way? I took it from Zelda to SM.
To face off against Dragon. I'm trying
I just figure Hitaka had everything in the game by that point.
Yeah. And GG's in chat for Ashter finishing off and with a official racetime.gg of 3 hours, 26 minutes, and 52 seconds. So, kind of like we talked about before a little bit earlier, the fact that we have a 3+ hour game and you guys all finished within 10 minutes of each other is insanely impressive. So, GG's.
Congratulations to all of you.
Hopefully we'll get Polar Bear Bunny in here and Osder for an interview as well. But yeah, I don't recall, Hitaka, how you got to Mother Brain. I think you took the Dark World portal from Zelda, but I'm not sure.
To Mother Brain?
No, to Dragon.
Oh yeah, I took the portal. I backdoored Meridia.
Yeah, because I think that was where you did that first, and then afterwards is where you found Ossie's Varia suit.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Alright, we're now joined by Asher and Polar Bear Bunny. GG. See you too.
GG.
GG, thank you.
Yeah.
GG's.
Yeah, welcome. GG. Very well run race. You guys put on one heck of a show. Finishing within 10 minutes of each other between a multiple world race is super impressive. So we were just talking to Asi and Hataka about their thoughts on the race, but Ashter, Polar Bear Bunny, what were your thoughts on the seed?
I cleared everything.
It was a weird. I mean, it was okay in the end if we just played it correctly, but yeah, last location boots. It was interesting on my side because Meridia Dark World access for hookshot leading to both hammer and my mitts, I think, was interesting. Speed and pendant pod to put lamp and gravity into logic. Aga. It was interesting. It just my Lore Norfair death just derailed pretty much my entire route plan, and I ended up doing all the wrong things from there.
Yeah,
Were you going?
That was a bit. Oh.
Quick question: Were you going for a suitless LN? Did you have Varia?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I went into Firefly with 2 E-tanks, and I still died in Firefly. So
Yeah, we saw you hit those spikes. That was painful.
Yeah, it was just one of those moments where you could just feel for you because you do that same thing 100 times, and that's probably the only one it would have happened like that.
Yeah, it's like, and then like I got Quake right after for Meyer, and then I got Varia right after. So if I managed to continue onward, I would have been fine. And I was thinking of not even farming that second round of power bombs. I was thinking of just crystal flashing immediately and going up and checking the other items at the end of the loop before Ridley. And I would have definitely survived if I did that. And Varia and Quake made that path pretty streamlined, and yeah, so it sucked. It just derailed all my plans. So lucky I got the flute from GT, and so Bunny finding bits for me was able to save me on that route. But then I didn't handle anything correctly after that. Because I basically put myself in. I basically routed in a way that like the death still punished me, and I could have tried to avoid it, and I didn't.
How did you? You kind of. How what were your exact feelings when you finally found the boots and the pyramids?
Wait, what did you say?
What was it like? What was your exact feelings when you finally found the boots and the pyramids?
Sorry, are you asking my thoughts on that? I didn't
Or
quite hear.
your feelings?
Yeah, I think the mic might be
Oh.
cutting out a little bit, but when you finally found the boots in Pyramid Ferry, what were your thoughts at that moment?
Well, yeah, that sucks. Just like last location did, when like I really didn't have to last location that, and it was just I should have gone to Pyramid Ferry earlier. I should have probably avoided Meyer and Lore Norfair for longer, because those are the things that would have directly punished me the most had they had the progression. Lore Norfair I mostly went back to right away because I didn't want to wander around Zelda without boots for longer, but yeah, it was bad death, bad calls afterwards, but I think it would have been easy to make the right calls if I didn't die, so that's a bit frustrating.
One thing.
Sorry, go
Nope.
ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so one thing that was in our conversation, as we were looking towards your go mode of needing mirror, needing boots for players 1 and 2, but having that fighter sword only for so long in the game, how did that weigh on you?
It's fine. It's like, I don't feel like it's a big deal for me to be fairly weaponless in multi-world, because
Were you feeling pretty confident you'll eventually get like the Master Sword before by the time it like if I had to fight Ganon?
yeah, I think it's hard to miss all your swords in multi-world until the very end, especially with how much we were clearing. I would have been much more concerned if it was solo, I think.
Yeah.
But like multi-world, your partner can find stuff for you. I wasn't too worried.
Well, I have another question. So one of the kind of things I'm curious about, what were you like? You thought was like you felt like you made your best play, or like just like either your best play, or you felt like you were just really happy that you found this and this item in this particular location.
Let's see.
Lamp.
Where was? Did I have any? I didn't have any lamps in my game, at least.
I had all the lamps.
I had all the
Player
lamps.
2's Norfer had all the fire items.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't.
I did. I had both fire rods and both lamps. I was
Dunno.
happy because I knew I could finally get my gravity. I was happy with getting my bow and Zelda's cell before ever going to Eastern. But
Yeah, same.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this is convenient. And glad I didn't die with my half a heart. I made it out of the dark room.
One thing I kind of I noticed early on is that the top players, Azure and Asai, had a lot of energy early on, but relatively little firepower. Which because you have like only 5 supers for the longest time, and like maybe just a charge beam at best. Whereas Polar Bear Bunny and Hitaka, you had relatively few energy tanks, but a lot more items and more powerful and ammo. Did that situation ever occur to you? And have you ever commented on that as you were playing?
Yeah, I noticed and thought it was kind of fun. I think he got his second super packet like over an hour in or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
The really messed up thing for me was So my intended for supers in Sphere 1 was Ice Rod Cave, but I did Ice Rod Cave into Zora, and I reset Zora to get the money back, not realizing that was my only super. So when I got Morph Ball to go into Super Metroid, I didn't have supers, and that's like not really supposed to happen.
Oh, I just skipped Ice Rod Cave until really late.
Oh wow.
So my first was Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, me too. Okay, so I wasn't the only one that was in that situation. But I was just like, yeah, it sucks, because like I know that they're there, but it's so far away, I don't want to go back for them. So I was hoping a pack would be in Brinstar, and I had to run back for Etiquette Supers. It's worth.
I had like 40 at the time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of situations in multi-world where it's really frustrating because you need a specific resource more than your partner does, and they are the ones that keep finding them, or you keep finding copies of that resource, and they're all for your partner, they're not for you.
Well, I gotta say that adds a fun dynamic to the whole multi-world component, because yeah, the player 1s had 7-8 E-tanks pretty early, the player 2s had 1 to 3 at some points, but as you find items, seeing who they're for, and as the item loadout is, it certainly seemed like it favored player 2 early on. But really, you guys just put on an amazing show. So GG's to you all, kudos to you. It was a lot of fun to watch, and I'm just looking at the item collections right now, seeing that Oscar with 273, Aussie with 272. It looks like Polar Bear Bunny and Hitaka were pretty close as well, although part of the screen's cut off. But really amazingly run. Watching your guys' boss fights, incredibly impressive. The tricks you guys pulled off, all of your fan tunes were just fantastically done.
I had microwave fan tunes, that was
Yeah,
pretty free.
yeah. I got easy mode fans. but yeah, thank you. I felt good about how I played, mostly.
Yeah.
But yeah, always a fun time with the multi-world.
Play fine, except for that one, the Firefly Room death. Like that was like the single worst, most jarring thing.
It looked like were you just trying to restock on power bombs?
Yeah, because I wanted more ammo for crystal flashing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was like, I remember looking and watching, and I was like, you have enough PvP, and you just want a little bit more, and then you actually crash into one of the fireplace and it knocks you back into the spikes. Like, oh no.
It's like it should be fine if that happens because the enemy damage gives you more invulnerability frames than the spikes do. So
Oh, so so that's what threw you off was the invulnerability frames timing.
kind of. So I actually, what I should have done at the end is when I was at 6 energy, is I should have like let myself run into the firefly because it does like 1 damage with gravity. But I actually had like a flashback to a race where I had a spike, which gives you very few iframes, and then die to a firefly after. It was a random league race in SM where we had an agreement to be drunk during the race. So I had flashbacks to that happening where I actually died to the firefly, and that like made me a split second avoid the firefly and fall in the spike instead, which is the wrong decision.
You died to a firefly. That's impressive.
I died to a firefly. To a firefly.
Were you at least suitless?
Yes.
Okay, that makes it slightly better.
Probably does the whole like 4 damage then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does 4. I had like 62 and I fell in the spike and then yeah. But
I mean,
hey,
he was drunk, so
I wasn't drunk this time, unfortunately. It was just like bad.
Apparently, you just suffered like a mild PTSD again.
Yeah,
it was kind of like
mild episode.
But you know, technically my team still won this race because Aussie and Hitaka are racing under my under our random league team name.
No, mine, Tug. My team.
I did appreciate the tug pause in there.
Did we get the quadruple tug paw combo?
I think so.
I hope so. Yes. Did we?
Good.
I think everybody got it.
Yes. Sick. Good job. Good job, everybody.
Well done, team.
Well, yeah, I guess, thank you. Anybody else have any other parting thoughts for the seed of the race?
Thank you very much for comms and stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So please, everybody, give our runners a follow. This was an amazing race. They're all amazing runners, so give them a follow. Our trackers, again, Professor Renderer and Tony T. Young, please give them a follow. Much thanks to them. My co-com, YouTube, Useria. It's been a pleasure. You're a lot of fun to talk and chat with, so thank you so much.
No pleasure.
And I don't know exactly. This is my first time coming, so I don't know the specifics of it. So, thank you guys, everybody. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I sure did. So, see you next mission.
I'll see you all next mission.